Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage, forged into a god, gifted sword at the beginning white Fang. Chapter 81. Seeing that Danzo stopped talking, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought that he believed and understood what he said. In fact, there was something else he didn't say. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little afraid of lending Danzo his weapon during the day. When dealing with government affairs at night, Danzo came in with a knife. Wearing glasses, Mito Kabuto looked at the calm atmosphere and asked for next suggestions. We can't fight, what are we going to do next? Or should we kill Uchiha Naraku first? Before Mito Minyan finished his words, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura shouted no in unison. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Danzo in surprise. Danzo was stunned for a few seconds and said, even if Naraku is an evil brat of Uchiha, he can't take advantage of those hungry wolves from other villages in vain. After moving to bed, Kaharu then said, we need to be wary not only of those big countries but also of Sansho Hanzo. The poison of this demigod in the ninja world is not simple. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while and said, Chio of Sunagakur can make the antidote for the poison of Sansho fish, and Tsunade should be able to do it too. I will arrange for Tsunade to go to the front line later. Danzo once again made his request. Since you are unwilling to go, then I will take the roots to the front line and chop off all the heads of those hungry wolves who dare to show their teeth. However, the other three people ignored Danzo at all and continued to plan the defense method step by step. The next four wise men continued to argue until the night, and Hiruzen Sarutobi came to the conclusion, if the soldiers come, they will be blocked, and if the water comes, the soil will cover them. Now strengthen defenses, strengthen border troops, and send Tsunade and Jiraiya to the Kingdom of Rain. Danzo looked at the three people who were standing in the same camp. They were unwilling to take the initiative. Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen were so angry that they lost their cheerful mood and just slammed the door and left. Sanshoyu Hanzo's reputation in the Land of Rain has risen to the limit after 3 consecutive victories, but Hanzo is frowning in the office. Although the Land of Rain had the upper hand in the previous wars, the family foundation of the Land of Rain is too weak. He wants to the ambition to expand territory through war also failed. The Kingdom of Sand and the Kingdom of Iron are not easy to fight. Even if they occupy part of the land, it will not be very useful for the development of the Kingdom of Rain. What's more, if you rob other people's things, you must be prepared to be retaliated. Konoha, which controls the most fertile land, is a good target, but Sanshoyu Hanzo still needs some brains. Konoha's current military strength ranks first in the entire ninja world. If he, a small ninja village, tried to get into trouble, he would be shattered to pieces if he was not careful. However, the news that Iron Ghost, now Shu was unconscious made him feel better. Just when Hanzo was struggling, Hanzo's bodyguard reported, Master Hanzo, there is a person from Sunagakur who wants to see you. The envoy of Sunagakur said to Hanzo, Master Hanzo, you must have heard the news about Konoha by now. I heard that the people of Konoha are still staying in the Land of Rain. We, Master Kazekage, want to cooperate with you. Let's attack Konoha together. Konoha's fertile land is the best trophy, isn't it? To the surprise of the Sunagakur envoy, Hanzo was not moved. He just said to him coldly, this is a matter between you Sunagakur and Konoha. If you want to attack Konoha, you can go and fight against it. I will not stop you. As for Konoha's army, I, Sansho Hanzo, can drive them out. There are 2 main reasons why Sanshoyu Hanzo did not agree. One is that Sunagakur is indeed not a good ally. Hanzo had just beaten Sunagakur. If they were teammates together, Hanzo would be really afraid of being stabbed in the back by Sunagakur's people. The second reason is that Hanzo feels that the nature is different. If he joins other ninja villages to invade Konoha, if he is defeated later, Konoha may not be able to retaliate against the great country ninja villages, but Omegakure will never escape. And if it's just to drive away Konoha, Konoha won't care about it that much. The Konoha of today is not the Konoha of the future, and the Sarutobi Hiruzen of the future is not the Sarutobi Hiruzen of the future who can only seek peace. The reputation of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Konoha is still a bit scary. Naraku, who was rarely free, came to Tsunade's house again, wanting to have a close combat with Tsunade and teach her step by step. It can be said that Naraku's taijutsu improved rapidly due to the influence of a close fight with Tsunade. When Naraku walked into the courtyard, he realized that things were not simple. Jiraiya was actually there. After Naraku and Jiraiya said hello, they walked into the house. Naraku looked at Tsunade, who was packing her luggage, and asked, "Teacher, where are you going?" When Tsunade saw Naraku, she immediately smiled like flying. She came over and rubbed Naraku's head. She messed up the handsome Uchiha's hair and said, "Recently, the news about Naoki's coma has spread. The border is not very peaceful. I want to." He and Jiraiya rushed to the Land of Rain to guard against the invasion of Sancho Hanzo. Also, many people in the ninja world have been eyeing you recently. Please don't leave Konoha during this period. After saying that, Tsunade flicked Naraku's head with her finger, as if she was flicking a naughty child. Due to these few months of getting along, and under Naraku's powerful offensive, the relationship between the master and the apprentice has continued to heat up, so the two of them did some seemingly intimate actions unnaturally. Tsunade also wanted to suppress this seemingly abnormal relationship, but every time Naraku made an intimate move, she did not refuse. Naraku nodded in agreement and said, "Teacher, you must pay attention to safety when you go to the front line. When participating in the battle, you must activate the King of Beasts, Lion King, in advance. Don't rush forward when fighting." Tsunade gave Naraku a look and said, "I still need you to worry. I am the strongest medical ninja in the ninja world, equipped with the art of hundreds of heroes and the transformation of the King of Beasts, Lion King. No one can kill me instantly. And when will it be your turn as a battlefield rookie to give me guidance and advice as a teacher? Don't forget about the rope tree discharging energy." Jiraiya and Naraku outside the door joked, "Remind your teacher, why don't you tell me? And you forged very good weapons for Tsunade and Orochimaru. When will you make one for me too? A handsome weapon that matches my Toad Sage's appearance. I'll pay a high price." Jiraiya and Naraku have also been in contact many times. Naraku also appreciates Jiraiya, a rare hero in the ninja world, as long as he does not compete with him for Tsunade. This is not negotiable. So Naraku responded politely, "Toad Sage still needs this strength. I will come to you if I have the right weapons." Jiraiya smiled and touched his head. When Naraku sent Tsunade and Jiraiya to the parting place, Tsunade turned around and hugged Naraku and gave Naraku a kiss on his forehead. Her lips gently touched Naraku's forehead, and the proud presence pushed Naraku very rudely. Naraku immediately felt Tsunade's tenderness and understood the reluctance in Tsunade's heart. Afterwards, Tsunade smiled and said to Naraku, "Remember to practice ninjutsu and taijutsu well. I will test it when I come back." After everyone said goodbye, Naraku touched his head. He seems to have received the kiss of death many times, but would Naraku be afraid of this flag? Jiraiya and Tsunade were on their way. After rushing for a while, Jiraiya finally couldn't hold it back. Asking Tsunade in a joking tone, "Are you and your apprentice a little too close?" During Jiraiya's time just now, firstly, Naraku walked into Tsunade's boudoir naturally, and secondly, when Tsunade saw Naraku, she rubbed his head. Finally, that parting kiss. These actions seemed to go beyond the normal interaction between master and apprentice, and both parties seemed to be very skilled in doing them. It can be said that after many years of teaming up with Tsunade, I have never seen Tsunade so close to anyone of the opposite gender, not even the rope tree. Tsunade didn't answer. After a while, she said, "Don't talk about things that don't happen." Jiraiya also wanted to try again and said, "Naraku should be almost 10 years old this year." Tsunade said with a slightly angry tone, "Stop talking." Jiraiya ran forward numbly, thinking, "It's bad, the Uchiha kid has stolen his house." He didn't quite understand why Tsunade and Naraku wanted to be together under so much pressure. First of all, there was a family feud. Secondly, there is a 14-year age difference between the two. In the end, the relationship between the two is still that of master and disciple. But as a teammate for many years, Jiraiya clearly knew what Tsunade's character and decision meant. Although he was filled with pain and helplessness, he knew that he could not change Tsunade's choice. He could only silently accept this fact, with tears welling up in his heart. He thought that when the war was over, he would find some girls from Fengqing Street to soothe his injured heart. Jiraiya still comforted himself. He still wanted to find the person who saved the ninja world, and he also wanted to write a work that was popular in the ninja world. How could he have time to love his son and daughter? He might as well hand over Tsunade to Uchiha Naraku, at least Naraku is a brat. A little bit arrogant, but I still love Tsunade. Tsunade and Jiraiya came into the camp under the leadership of the Konoha camp staff. The two looked at the camp and the atmosphere seemed a little tense but not that tense. This made Tsunade and Jiraiya a little confused, because if it wasn't an emergency, the old man wouldn't give the order so quickly. Until the two of them saw Orochimaru in the command room, Orochimaru was very worried about the war. Although Akamaiki Kaifeng is still on his head, this teammate of Hiruzen Sarutobi doesn't seem to care much about the war at all, and basically leaves the command to Orochimaru. This is also the first time that Orochimaru has full command of such a large team. It was okay that the scale of the battle was relatively small at the beginning. After all, he also has the ability of Orochimaru. But now that various countries are really fighting, it will definitely not happen if there is another war in the future. It will be the same small scale as before. Orochimaru saw his two teammates coming over now, and he showed a joyful smile for the first time in a long time and said, "You are finally here. Sanshoyu Hanzo has set his sights on us in Konoha with the momentum of winning 3 games and 3 games." Jiraiya and Tsunade also looked serious when they heard this. Jiraiya jumped out and said, "Then what can we do now?" Orochimaru instead focused his attention on Tsunade. "Tsunade, an antidote must be made for the poison of Sansho fish. Do you have any idea?" Tsunade did not agree immediately, but said, "There is a high probability that I can make an antidote for Sansho fish poison, but the prerequisite is that I need to get a sample of Sansho fish poison. And judging from Sansho Hanzo's previous battle with Sunagaku, he would update his poison from time to time. So even if you make an antidote, it will most likely only take a few battles. I can only say that you should try your best to get the antidote that completely removes the poison from Sansho fish, but don't hold out hope." Quote. After hearing Tsunade's answer, Orochimaru was at a loss. What he originally thought was whether Tsunade's ability in medical treatment could be used to create a once-and-for-all antidote, which would greatly reduce the pressure of future wars with a Megakure. In fact, although he himself is not a medical ninja at the level of Tsunade, his understanding of biological knowledge related to the human body brought by years of scientific research also allows him to know that a universal antidote is not that realistic. The problem now is that the prerequisite for getting Sansho poison is a battle with Sansho Hanzo, but without the antidote, there cannot be a large-scale battle with Rain Shinobi led by Sansho Hanzo. The most disgusting thing is that Sansho fish Hanzo will constantly update his poison, so even if he gets a sample of Sansho fish poison, it won't be that useful against the new poison. After Orochimaru informed the two of them of the current predicament, Tsunade thought for a while and said, "There are 2 solutions. One is to fight in a small scale first and then get a sample of Sansho fish poison and quickly create an antidote. In this case, there is a high probability that Hanzo the Sansho fish will not update the poison, and will directly have a decisive battle afterwards. The second is when Sansho Hanzo updated his poison but had not yet had time to mass-produce the antidote, our people directly defeated Sansho Hanzo without the participation of the ninja armies on both sides." Orochimaru doesn't have any particularly good methods, mainly because even if he thinks of some methods, various accidents will occur during the execution. While Orochimaru and others were discussing tactics, Sansho Hanzo officially declared war on Konoha. Sansho Hanzo demanded that Konoha withdraw from the country of Rain immediately and compensate a Megakure a large amount of war money, otherwise a Megakure would not only defeat Konoha but also invade Konoha in reverse. That is to say, not long after Sansho Hanzo declared war, Sunagaku and Iwagakure also issued a statement forcefully condemning Konoha for the damage caused to the Rain country, persuading Konoha to quickly withdraw from the Rain country and compensate the Rain country for its losses. Kumogakure saw the excitement and joined the condemnation team. He even said that if Xiaoguo was not afraid of being retaliated, he might have joined the condemnation team. In the great ninja village, Kurigakure was the only one who stayed in seclusion and didn't know what to do. It can be said that the news of Hanzo's declaration of war put a lot of pressure on Konoha. Orochimaru immediately reported the details of the relevant matters to Sarutobi Hiruzen, but Konoha F4 discussed it for a long time and nothing happened. Danzo asked for a fight many times, but was rejected by Hiruzen Sarutobi. It wasn't until a day later that the village sent back the arrangements. Orochimaru looked at the words written on it and retreated to the edge of the land of rain and the land of fire, increased his vigilance, and quickly made a universal antidote. He also said that supporting troops were on the way. Orochimaru's pale face turned green with anger. Wouldn't it be more convenient for people to retreat to the edge? Sanshoyu Hanzo can attack Konoha's army at any time. Sanshoyu Hanzo even has a reason to say that Konoha has caused damage to the rain country without compensating for it. If the sandpepper fish poison is not solved, the ordinary troops will become cannon fodder if there are too many. But Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage, arranged this, and Orochimaru could only obey the order and evacuate to the border of the land of rain. Sir, Konoha's troops have retreated to the border of our country and have not returned to the land of fire. They have also kept silent about the compensation. Sanhoyu Mita reported to Sanhoyu Hanzohui. Hanzo asked, "Is it raining where Konoha is staying today?" Mita, "Sir, it's raining. Because it rains all year round in the land of rain, most Omegakure ninjas, like Kurigakure ninjas, are good at water-style ninjutsu. And because of the large amount of rain, the ground will be muddy, which will greatly affect the actions of Konoha ninjas. But for Yuyin, who has lived in this environment all year round, the current weather is the most favorable time and place for them." Sansho Hanzo said to Sansho Kanda, "It seems that we need to send Konoha to leave the country of rain completely. As for the changes in the subsequent war, let Konoha wish for itself. Gather the army." A large number of Omegakure marched towards the Konoha camp, and any Konoha scouts they encountered on the way were killed directly. Orochimaru and others naturally also knew the news of Omegakure's invasion. He could only arrange his troops to prepare for battle. If he retreated from this distance without thinking, he would be giving his butt to others to play with. As for the current weather and the debuff brought by the Sansho fish poison, there is no way to solve it. Orochimaru knew that the situation was urgent, so he just thought for a while and said to Akamaiki Tofu, "Master Tofu, you will lead the team to fight later. I, Jiraiya and Tsunade will hold back Sansho Hanzo to reduce the losses of the troops." Quote, "It can be said that the battle in the Kingdom of Rain came too quickly, and Konoha did not make much preparation at all." Akamaiki Kaifeng also knew that the situation was urgent and quickly agreed. Then went to his place. Soon the troops of the country of Rain invaded the Konoha camp, and a large number of Omegakure ninjas continued to pour out, as well as the demigod, Sanho Hanzo in the ninja world. At this time, Hanzo had already channeled his pet Sanshoyu, Abushi. As soon as Hanzo appeared, looking at the Konoha ninjas who were surrounded by Omegakure, he directly ordered the giant Sansho fish psychic beast at his feet, which looked numb, to spray out a strong poisonous mist. The moment the purple poisonous mist was spit out from the mouth of the Sansho fish, it directly filled the surrounding area and spread away. The Konoha ninjas located in the middle area were naturally the focus of attention, and they were the first to bear the baptism of the strong poisonous gas. The powerful poison directly caused the death of ordinary ninjas in the center of the poisonous circle. Even the Konoha ninjas couldn't withstand the Sansho fish poison antidote issued by Tsunade, because Sansho fish Hanzo had obviously updated his poison. Looking at the huge Sansho fish appearing in front of them, Orochimaru and the others knew that they must quickly deal with the Sansho fish Abushi in front of them or completely drag Hanzo away to prevent him from spreading poison elsewhere. Psychic art, psychic art, psychic art. There appeared on the battlefield a huge purple-horned Orochimanji, a red-skinned toad bunta wearing clothes and holding a pipe and a short sword on his waist, and finally a Katsuyu with a white background and a blue back. As soon as Wan Shi came out and saw Sanshoyu, she shouted for 100 people as sacrifices. Wen Tai snorted coldly when she saw Wan Shi next to her. Katsuyu said very obediently, "Tsunade-sama, I will help you." The three people standing on top of the three huge psychic beasts behind them also took their stances. Orochimaru took out Kurichimanji, the vassal weapon forged by Naraku. Tsunade yelled in her mind, "Become the king of beasts, Lion King." Then Tsunade transformed into feline ears and tail, and her hands also became feline to a certain extent. Although Naraku gave him the option to freely choose whether his palms should change, he was mainly worried about affecting the ninja seals. But it happened that Tsunade did not form seals under normal circumstances, and she liked the increased strength and tenacity brought by the changes in her palms. Jiraiya glanced left and right as his teammates took out their weapons, but he had nothing in his hands and couldn't help but feel speechless. I was thinking, you secretly strengthened me without taking me with you, right? Are we still on the same team? When I get back, I will ask Naraku to forge a peerless magic weapon for me. Perhaps out of confidence in his own strength or wanting to stay in place and release more poisonous mist, Sanshoyu Hanzo did not stop the three people from transforming and channeling. Sansho Hanzo calmly said to the three of them, you three are the disciples of the third Hokage of Konoha. Let me test your strength today. Let's see how confident Sarutobi Hiruzen is that you can stop him. Quote. Jiraiya looked at the Sansho fish that was still releasing poisonous gas into the air, and shouted, Bunta. Gamabunta pulled out the short sword from his waist with a firm look in his eyes, then jumped up at an astonishing speed, using the powerful jumping power of the Toad clan, to launch a fierce attack on the Sansho fish. He jumped up high, holding the short sword tightly with both hands, ready to cut the Sansho fish in half with a knife from top to bottom. But the Sansho fish showed flexibility that was inconsistent with its huge body. It quickly adjusted its posture and position, and flexibly swung its tail. Just when Gamabunta was about to hit the Sanshoyu suddenly hit Bunta with its tail, knocking him far away. Wentai rolled in the air and almost hit Wanshi, causing Wanshi to yell angrily, you ugly toad. Look how I fight. Although Wentai was beaten very painfully, he knew that it could not affect him. Jiraiya was fighting, so he gritted his teeth, held back the pain, and remained silent. Wanshi quickly swam in the direction of the sandpepper fish in an extremely arrogant manner. As Wanshi got closer and closer to the sandpepper fish, Wan Snake directly opened its huge mouth. Sanjiao responded to Wanshi with a blow from its tail. It has to be said that Wanshi's luck was pretty good. Sanjiao's tail, which had been charging up, did not hit Wanshi. As Wan Snake bit the sandpepper fish, although the bite was not deep, Wan Snake still ferociously injected the precious essence in his body into the sandpepper fish. But to Wanshi's surprise, Sanjiao had no obvious reaction at all to Wanshi's essence. Even as Wanshi came into contact with the Sansho fish at a negative distance, Wanshi felt that he was a little poisoned because he felt a little dizzy. Wanshi is really a little ignorant. Even Hanzo, who has the poisonous antibodies of the Sansho fish, will be poisoned by the poison sac, which shows how toxic the Sansho fish is. Under this kind of poisonous ability, Sansho Yufu possesses terrifying poison resistance. Of course, Wanshi's movements didn't stop either. Wanshi's body was constantly moving closer to the body of the sandpepper fish, trying to wrap around the body of the sandpepper fish, and eventually strangle the sandpepper fish to death. Sanjiao also noticed Wanshi's movements, opened his big mouth, and bit Wanshi's body hard. Wanshi, who was bitten by the Sansho fish, also became violent. At this time, regardless of the huge pain on its body, it wrapped its body around the Sansho fish with all its strength, trying to strangle the Sansho fish. Hanzo, who was standing on the Sansho fish, finally started to move. I don't know when Hanzo started his action, but he buried a large number of detonating symbols on the ground. Hanzo controlled a large number of detonating talismans to cover Wanshi's body. Hanzo wanted to use the fire-style detonating flame formation that he was very good at. Hanzo quickly formed the seal. Fire-style detonate the flame array. A huge explosion occurred on Wanshi. Wanshi was seriously injured directly by the horrific explosion and Jingfu's bite. In order to avoid some damage, Wanshi even retreated to the psychic world. Orochimaru didn't pay attention to Wanshi's being bombed. His relationship with Wanshi was very unstable, but he took advantage of Wanshi's injury. He used all his strength to gather the yang chakra on his body into Kurichimanji, and then severely left a wound nearly 1 meter long on Sanshoyu's body. Ibushi was in pain and twisted his body. Due to the huge size of the Sansho fish Ibushi, every move he made was terrifyingly destructive. Orochimaru had no way to give Sanshoyu a second sword, so he could only use the teleportation technique to stay away. As for why Orochimaru didn't strike Hanzo with a sword, the reason is that Orochimaru felt that Hanzo would never be hit by the sword so easily if he was called a demigod, but being restrained by 10,000 snakes was a good opportunity for damage. At first, Hanzo didn't care about the wounds on the Sansho fish. After all, the Sansho fish had rough skin and thick flesh and was dozens of meters tall. The wounds from the snake bites are no longer bleeding. Not to mention Orochimaru's sword attack. But Hanzo soon discovered something was wrong. The seemingly shallow 1-meter wound caused by Orochimaru on Sanshoyu was bleeding at a slow but steady speed, which made Hanzo feel distressed. Hanzo seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the sword in Orochimaru's hand and said, "This should be the weapon forged by Konoha's famous forging master Uchiha Naraku, right? It does have magical abilities to cause wounds, even Sansho fish has no wounds. Way to heal quickly. Even I find the wood style of Iron Demon Senju Nawaki's armor transformation a bit scary. You Konoha are really full of talents." Then Hanzo looked at Tsunade and said, "Is the transformation you just made also a magical weapon?" However, Tsunade and others could not chat with the Sansho fish, because the poison of the Sansho fish was constantly soaking into their bodies, and Jiraiya and Orochimaru were useless even with the antidote made by Tsunade. After Hanzo updated the Sansho fish poison, the effectiveness of the previous antidote was greatly reduced. That is to say, Tsunade's resistance to poison is very strong thanks to her Beast King transformation belt. At least Tsunade didn't feel any discomfort on her body. Tsunade also stood up and said, "I will be the main force in this battle. You will assist me," and then gave the two of them a look. The three of them cooperated tacitly and naturally understood Tsunade's intentions. Tsunade and Orochimaru rushed towards Sansho Hanzo from the left and right sides respectively. At this time, Gamabunta had already gotten up, and Jiraiya ran to his head again, and then gave a secret signal, which Bunta naturally understood. Wentai opened his mouth and spit out a large amount of toad oil. Jiraiya is releasing the seal and preparing to release fire style. Hanzo looked at Jiraiya's movements. With rich fighting experience, he naturally understood Jiraiya's intentions. And Gamabunta's actions made him understand that Jiraiya's fire style was probably not simple. So Hanzo also started to form seals quickly. Fire style toad oil flame bomb. Bunta's oil is combined with Jiraiya's fire style to produce a huge oil fire bomb. This oil fire bomb has a wide attack range and is very powerful. The terrifying oily flames suppressed the heavy rain in the land of rain, and roared towards Hanzo the Sansho fish. Water style who will fix the dam? Water shockwave. A huge amount of water spurted out from Sansho Hanzo's mouth. According to common sense, the ordinary water style could not withstand Jiraiya's toad oil flame bomb. But with the help of Sanshoyu Hanzo's huge amount of chakra, terrifying water style proficiency, and the weather, the dam was able to withstand the combined efforts of Bunta and Jiraiya as if it were a high-pressure water gun, flame. The collision of water and fire formed a huge cloud of water vapor, completely covering the battlefield. Bunta and Jiraiya felt a strong pressure at the same time, and their bodies were pushed back involuntarily. Wentai opened his toad eyes wide, looking at the scene in front of him. His heart was filled with shock. He didn't expect Sansho Hanzo's water style to be so powerful and able to withstand his and Jiraiya's attacks. Jiraiya had a solemn expression on his face. He knew that Sansho Hanzo was very powerful, but he didn't expect that his water style technique was so superb. This level of water style can only be matched by second Hokage. Bunta, later you and Katsuyu will contain the Sanshoyu, and I will deal with Hanzo with Tsunade and the others. After saying that, Jiraiya jumped off Gamabunta's head. Under the cover of water vapor, Jiraiya moved quietly, looking for opportunities to attack. Having just completed the water-style Great Waterfall, Hanzo suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. He didn't have time to think. He immediately formed seals with his hands quickly and performed the water teleportation technique. The moment he teleported away, Tsunade's fist and Orochimaru's Kirichi Manji had already struck. If Hanzo hadn't responded in time, he might have been seriously injured at this moment. However, Hanzo's strength is much more than that. His water teleportation technique is so fast that even Tsunade and Orochimaru can't keep up. The angry Tsunade was about to punch the Sansho fish under her body hard, but Hanzo, who had just used the teleportation technique to dodge the attack, attacked again with a sickle and a hammer. The three of them immediately fought together. Because it is close to the Sansho Ibushi, the toxicity of the Sansho Ibushi will be stronger. Tsunade and Orochimaru deliberately controlled the movement away from Sansho Ubushi, and Hanzo naturally discovered this. But Tsunade's behavior of preparing to punch Sanshoyu scared Hanzo. After all, Hanzo wasn't sure how terrifying Tsunade's fist would be with the blessing of the Taigu. The technique of messing up the lion's hair. Jiraiya, who had been waiting beside him for a long time, lengthened his hair and formed it into the shape of a lion's head in an attempt to entangle Hanzo. But Hanzo dodged another water teleportation technique, which made Jiraiya so angry that his teeth started to itch. Then Jiraiya also joined the battle group. At this time, a famous scene of three heroes fighting Liu Biyu formed on the entire battlefield. No, it should be the scene where Sannin fights Hanzo. Tsunade jumped high and landed with a kick. Hanzo evaded in an emergency. With the blessing of the King of Beasts, Tsunade's painful kick was even more powerful than before. Hanzo couldn't help but feel a little scared when he saw that the ground he was standing on became shattered. Even a strong man of his level could not fully absorb the damage from Tsunade's punch or kick, so he prepared to focus on attacking later. But before he could slow down, Jiraiya and Orochimaru's attacks came. Naturally, Hanzo was not very afraid of the taijutsu of the two people in front of him. The scythe slashed at Orochimaru's Kirimanji, while the chain wrapped around Jiraiya. It can be said that the combat power of Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade during this period has not yet been fully developed. Orochimaru's physical transformation is only in its infancy. Even the idea of Orochimaru's substitute style was not even thought of before due to the butterfly effect. Jiraiya hasn't learned Sage Jutsu and even the most important Rasengan Minato hasn't invented yet. Tsunade has not fully learned the Yin Seal, and Tsunade at this period does not have the kind of blue crystals she will have later. So even if Orochimaru has Kurichimanji and Tsunade has transformed into the King of Beasts, there is no way to easily defeat Hanzo. But now at least someone has the ability to deal with Hanzo. Unlike in the original work, Hanzo was easily defeated as if he was guiding his juniors. Tsunade once again raised her fist and punched Hanzo, but Hanzo narrowly escaped. But he found himself tangled in Jiraiya's hair again. Tsunade's second punch was about to come soon, and something surprising happened to the three of them. Hanzo actually used the water teleportation technique without forming a seal. The speed with which he can perform the water teleportation technique feels comparable to the time and space ninjutsu. Hanzo groaned in pain, a look of pain appeared on his face, and his body trembled slightly. It turns out that Orochimaru has been lurking in the dark, like a cunning lion majesty, waiting for the best opportunity. When Hanzo's attention was completely attracted by Tsunade and Jiraiya, Orochimaru took the opportunity to take action and slashed Hanzo's back. Hanzo's strong armor withstood most of the attacks, but Kurichimanji's sharp blade still cut his skin, allowing blood to seep out. Hanzo realized that the situation was not good, and immediately distanced himself from the enemy and observed his surroundings vigilantly. At this time, Hanzo instinctively did what most people who were scratched by Kurichimanji like to do, use chakra to try to seal the wound. However, he soon discovered that this method did not work, and the wound continued to bleed slowly. At this moment, he finally understood why his pet Sancho fish was bleeding profusely. Hanzo realized that if it weren't for the small wound, he might have been unable to continue fighting. But despite this, he could still feel the slow loss of physical strength, which made his face become more and more gloomy. In fact, Orochimaru was very disdainful and smeared poison on Kurichi's character, but it obviously had little effect on Hanzo and Sancho, who had terrible poison resistance. On the other side of the psychic beast battlefield, the battle has also entered a fierce stage. Gamabunta was whipped away again, and the short sword in his hand also flew far away. The Sancho fish took the opportunity to bite Katsuyu so hard that Katsuyu had to split into many smaller Katsuyu to escape the attack. At this moment, the poisonous mist in the Sancho fish's body had been completely replenished. It opened its big mouth, and a huge amount of purple poisonous gas poured out like a raging torrent, instantly covering the entire battlefield. Under the erosion of this poisonous gas, Bunta and Katsuyu were almost poisoned and returned to the psychic world. Several people on the human battlefield here once again inhaled the poisonous mist of Sanchoyu. This poisonous mist directly made Jiraiya and Orochimaru almost unable to stand. And Hanzo did not waste such a good opportunity. Because he was scratched by Orochimaru's Kurichimanji, he could no longer drag out the battle as lightly as in the original work. Now Hanzo just wants to end the battle quickly. Tsunade naturally would not let Hanzo attack her teammates, so she rushed forward again with her fists raised. Tsunade's fists are very strong, but ninja fighting is full of various skills and abilities. As a result, Hanzo has not been able to get a single punch from Tsunade. Seeing how ignorant Tsunade was, Hanzo relied on his physical skills to avoid Tsunade's fist, and the sickle in his hand severely scratched Tsunade's abdomen. "Tsunade!" Jiraiya exclaimed as he watched Tsunade being scratched by Hanzo. They knew how powerful Hanzo's poison was, and just ordinary poisonous mist was so powerful. Not to mention the poison after seeing blood. Although Tsunade transformed into the king of beasts, she also temporarily collapsed due to repeated poisons and injuries. Hanzo showed off his water style again, using only 3 seals before using ninjutsu. Water style water dragon bullet technique. Hanzo created a water dragon behind him and charged at Orochimaru, knocking Orochimaru away from him. Jiraiya looked at the menacing Hanzo, knowing that his physical skills were not as good as Hanzo's, so he used ninjutsu again. Ninjutsu. Needle Jizo. Hardening his long silver hair with chakra, he wrapped his entire body with sharp objects like a hedgehog in an attempt to attack Hanzo. Facing this hedgehog, Hanzo directly sprayed the poisonous gas in the poison sac in his belly towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya collapsed completely. Hanzo crossed his arms and looked at the 3 Konoha ninjas who fell to the ground, with a sense of scorning the world. However, just when he was about to pretend to give the 3 Konoha ninja titles, Tsunade who fell to the ground activated the Lion Eternal. The injuries on Tsunade who had just been poisoned and fell to the ground recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even the huge amount of poison in her body was adapted. Hanzo looked at Tsunade who was getting up in surprise. He seemed to see a huge red lion phantom appearing on Tsunade's head. You must never underestimate the Konoha ninja. At this time, Tsunade rushed towards Hanzo with almost no defense. Hanzo also felt that the Tsunade in front of him was crazy. He was really worried that he had accidentally killed the princess of the Fire Country, the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama, and the disciple of the Hokage. If he chose the best among the 3, the one I don't want to kill is definitely Tsunade in front of me. There are too many buffs on my body. In just a moment, Tsunade rushed in front of Hanzo again, and Hanzo's scythe severely cut Tsunade's body again. The poison was soaked in it, but it had no effect on Tsunade at this time. The scratched wound recovered as before in Hanzo's surprised eyes. Just when Hanzo was about to withdraw his scythe, Tsunade's cat claws, big cats are also cats, grabbed Hanzo's scythe, and then a terrifying force came from the scythe. Hanzo felt that his body was being carried away by the scythe, and he could only throw away his weapon in shame. Naturally, Hanzo, who lost his weapon, would not surrender, and it was another beautiful seal. Water style water dragon bullet technique. The rain in the air formed under the control of Hanzo ninjutsu, and a water dragon rushed towards Tsunade. Tsunade's next action shocked Hanzo again. Tsunade punched the water dragon so hard on the head that the force almost caused the dragon's head to explode. Even if the dragon's head was not broken, its strength was much reduced, and the dragon's head pushed Tsunade and slid for a while. Tsunade actually remained standing, just panting heavily, and her exaggerated curves kept twisting. This made Naraku, who was watching the battle from a distance, look envious. That's right, Naraku didn't trust Tsunade to fight Hanzo at all, because he remembered that Hanzo in the original book easily defeated Sannin, and he was afraid that Hanzo would kill the 3 of them this time. So he used the dimensional square array to move around, and was using his, haunted by evil spirits, invisibility ability to quietly watch the battle from a distance. The Sancho fish in the distance had just taken care of Bunta and Katsuyu, and quickly ran over to protect its master. Tsunade just panted for a while, and then rushed forward again with her fists raised. The eager Sanchoyu used its tail to whip Tsunade away, but Tsunade stood up again and looked at Tsunade with dangerous eyes. Hanzo quickly ordered the Sanchoyu to stay away from Tsunade. Tsunade naturally knew who the target of this battle was, so she charged forward again with her fists raised like an immortal Xiaoqiang. Facing the monster in front of him that could not be killed by a sickle, poisoned by poison, or killed by ninjutsu, Hanzo felt troubled as never before. But the demigod of the ninja world was not calling for nothing. Hanzo quickly thought of how to deal with Tsunade. Hanzo threw out several shurikens with detonating talismans, and then formed seals with his hands. Fire-style detonate the flame array. Under ninjutsu's control, several detonating symbols moved to Tsunade's body and exploded. After falling to the ground, Tsunade tried to stand up again. After completing the hand seal, Hanzo stretched out his left hand. Water-style water prison technique. Hanzo's left hand formed a water prison in an attempt to restrain Tsunade. Once restrained by the water prison, neither the caster nor the person being casted could move or form seals. Tsunade was not a vegetarian either. Before the water prison was completely formed, she swung out a claw. Although it didn't hit, the powerful air directly scratched Hanzo's left eye. From then on, Hanzo's left eye had an extra claw mark. Hanzo endured the pain and used the chakra absorption technique, slowly absorbing Tsunade's chakra. After absorbing it for a period of time, Hanzo looked at Tsunade exiting that special state and also released ninjutsu. Tsunade lay on the ground gasping for air, breathing in the rare air. Hanzo jumped gracefully on the head of the Sanshou fish, once again showed off his expert demeanor, clasped his hands on his chest and said pretentiously, "I'm afraid Konoha has won this battle. I'll let you live." Jiraiya, who didn't know when he woke up but hadn't gotten up yet, shouted loudly, "I don't need your sympathy anymore. We can continue to fight." Hanzo didn't care about the rookie Jiraiya in his eyes, and said to himself, "You three are very powerful, you can survive in this environment. I, Hanzo, will call you Konoha Sannin from now on. You guys call yourself the Life. Let's exchange for the title." After finishing speaking, Hanzo felt the burning pain in his slowly bleeding back and left eye, and said to Tsunade and Orochimaru, "You two are even more powerful. I, Hanzo, gave you Tsunade the title of Konoha's most ferocious tiger. Title: I give you Orochimaru the title of the Python of Konoha." Some table tennis players in our country are also very well known in Japan. The Japanese have given some players domineering nicknames. Shu Shin is called the Empire Python, Ma Long is called the Empire Destruction Dragon, and Zhang Jike known as the Empire's most ferocious tiger. After Hanzo said these words, he took the Sanshou fish and left without looking back. He felt that he might overturn if he stayed any longer. It was too difficult to defeat the three people in front of him without killing them. Jiraiya, who was lying on the ground with his butt sticking out, knew that he was probably safe, so he said harshly, "Where is my nickname? Where is my nickname?" Seeing Jiraiya's funny look, Tsunade came over and kicked Jiraiya on the butt. Later, he treated Jiraiya and Orochimaru. Naraku felt relieved when he saw this. He was already prepared for what happened if Sanshoyu Hanzo didn't talk about martial ethics and didn't know what traditional martial arts was. He will swear to teach Hanzo a lesson and even kill him directly. Naraku, who is waiting for work, is definitely qualified to say this. Hanzo didn't know that he had just come out of the gate of death. Hanzo, who was on the way, asked himself mockingly, when did he become like this? For the powerful ninjas, they left their enemies alive because of various scruples. But Hanzo then thought about it and thought that he deliberately left three people alive. And also gave special titles to Tsunade and Orochimaru who possess strange weapons. Presumably as the names of these people spread in the ninja world, those big countries must not be able to restrain their greed, and let them eat dogs when the time comes. Their small country really can't afford it. Hanzo came to the real large-scale battlefield riding Sanshoyu. Akamaiki took the wind and charged fiercely at this time in huge size. Rain Shinobi's master could only limit it. Akamaiki looked at Hanzo but found that Tsunade and others were not around, and his heart couldn't help but thump. Did Tsunade and others all die in the battle? Then the losses to Konoha in this battle were huge. Even if he killed many Omegakure ninjas, this could not offset the three Tsunade people. Especially Tsunade with a special status. When the Omegakure ninjas saw Hanzo coming, their morale soared and they immediately began to counterattack. However, Hanzo said coldly, "Retreat. You Konoha Sannin are indeed good, especially your Konoha's fierce tiger and Konoha's giant python do have something to offer. But in the future, don't go to the hinterland of the land of rain to fight at will. Otherwise, our Raingakure's anger is not simple." This surprised both Konoha and Omegakure, but Omegakure left obediently with Hanzo. Hanzo's words made Akamaiki breathe a sigh of relief. Although he didn't know who the Huehuahu and the giant python were, Tsunade and others should have survived. The Konoha ninjas watched the enemy retreat. Jiraiya and Orochimaru supported each other, and Tsunade walked in front of everyone, knowing that Konoha had won this battle. The ninjas who survived this battle cheered together, either with joy of survival or joy of victory. Jiraiya also wanted to take advantage of the joy to hug Tsunade, but unfortunately Tsunade refused. He could only forcefully hug Orochimaru, who looked defiant but had no ability to resist. Orochimaru was hit head-on by a water dragon bullet before and fell unconscious on the ground after inhaling a lot of poisonous gas. His body is still soft now. Orochimaru enjoyed Jiraiya's hug helplessly, thinking to himself, we must develop a move that can definitely save our lives. This battle made him realize the fragility of his body again, but a water dragon bomb actually knocked him unconscious. But fortunately, Konoha resisted and won the only victory on the surface. Hanzo on the other side also deliberately publicized the name of Konoha Sannin, especially the fierce tiger Tsunade and the giant python Orochimaru and their weapons. It was also this battle that represented that the juniors of the ninja world began to gradually take the center stage of the ninja world. Inevitably, these two titles made the weapons forged by Uchiha Naraku famous again. Whether it is the incurable Korichi Manji or the newly emerged Taigu belt, the ninjas in the ninja world are very coveted. In the past, the ninja world had special ninja swords except Kurikage. Most people's weapons are only half-measured, and they are all ordinary kunai, shuriken and ninja swords. Now some of Konoha's ninja tools are far ahead. Ninjas have limits. Unless they master special forbidden techniques, most people will stop at one level due to their talents and personal development. Obtaining a particularly good ninja tool seems to be the easiest way to improve your strength. Why shouldn't this be coveted? What's more, the rope tree had the terrifying effect of haunted by evil spirits before. It can be said that Uchiha Naraku's weapons are as important as the tailed beasts to some extent. If things continue like this, if Konoha develops a few more haunted demons or weapons of this level, how will other great ninja villages be able to compete with Konoha in the future? Even if there was Senju Hashirama in Konoha before, Senju Hashirama would die of old age. Now Konoha relies on weapons. Who knows how long these weapons can be used? Several of Kurigakure's ninja swords are still in use after so many years. It can be said that the swords that kill people are still there. There is no shortage of visionary people in the ninja world, such as Onoki. Onoki sat on the office chair with a serious face. Konoha's easy victory was something he did not expect. In particular, the three apprentices of Sarutobi Hiruzen were already able to carry the cauldron, but just 3 of them were able to hold Hanzo back, earning him the title of Sannin. You must know that the peak combat power of most ninjas is around 35 to 50, and now all Sannin in Konoha are less than 25 years old. Onoki doesn't want to think about what height they can reach in the future. He thought about the situation in his village again and felt dizzy. Onoki hurriedly wrote something, then handed the envelope to his subordinates and said, "Go and tell the other ninja villages that Iwagakure wants to hold a meeting of the 5 Kage. Please give these letters to the people in each village according to their signatures." In an underground place in the Kingdom of Water, Uchiha Madara looked ahead with a constipated expression. In fact, even a strong person like Uchiha Madara would be prone to constipation after sitting for a long time. Especially when he discovered Baiju's again some time ago. The key point was that when he found out, it was already halfway through. At this time, he could choose to cut off or not to cut off and continue to watch Baiju. In the end, Madara chose to kill all the ordinary white zetsus she saw. Later, he deliberately reduced the number of times he went to the toilet, but as a result, he became constipated due to sitting for long periods of time. The yin and yang face suddenly appeared in front of Madara, then handed him a letter and said, "Madara-sama, here is the letter Onoki gave to Mizukage and the latest news about Uchiha Naraku." Uchiha Madara received the letter. Now in his world without Senju Hashirama, it is still very boring to stay underground every day. That is, from time to time, he watches the news about Naraku, Nagato and what is happening in the ninja world. As a pastime. I don't know what Naraku would think if he knew that his ancestor Uchiha Madara was his fanatical fan and kept reading about his affairs every once in a while. Madara looked at the letter and said slowly, Senju rope tree, haunted by evil spirits. Sansho fish Hanzo. Sanin, the most ferocious tiger and giant python. Emperor's tools, Minista's tools. Uchiha Naraku. Seeing that Madara had completely read the letter, Black Zetsu said with the hoarse voice inherent to a villain, Master Madara, this junior of yours is not simple. The weapons he forged can already arouse the nerves of the entire ninja world. If he continues like this, will it affect your plan? Or are you prepared to select him as your future agent? It can be said that the identity of Black Zetsulong at this time is very similar. As long as it is not something special, the rest is driven by the interests of Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Naraku is indeed a good child. Although he does not focus on Sharingan, his intelligence and ability are far beyond ordinary people. Even his personality is cheerful and lively. He is very suitable as a planning agent, but he is too smart and capable, and in this case, he lacks that kind of paranoia. Uchiha Madara said. Afei started to play tricks and said comically, I understand. Madara-sama, what I mean in human terms is that you can't fool Uchiha Naraku. You can't control Uchiha Naraku. After saying this, he ignored the bulging veins on Uchiha Madara's head and looked at Uchiha Madara with a look of credit. After Uchiha Madara clenched his fist, he loosened it again and said to Afei, from now on, you will monitor Uchiha Naraku 24 hours a day and come back every 1 month, do you understand? Afei immediately saluted and said, Master Madara, you finally see the shining point in me. I will definitely live up to expectations. I will work hard to monitor Uchiha Naraku. Even if he poops, I will keep an eye on him carefully. Heiju, don't be jealous. I will soon be separated from you and sail away alone. Heiju looked at this funny man with disdain in his heart. He is indeed a stupid person with no goals. Unlike me, I have been working hard to save my mother, and I will not give up even if I work hard until the ninja world collapses. This is a meaningful Zetsu. You stupid person, you think you are so powerful even though you have been exiled. After arranging Afei, Madara said calmly, wait a little longer. If Uchiha Naraku really affects the plan, I will talk to him before I die. Naraku, who returned to Konoha, was enjoying his happy life happily and had no idea that Uchiha Madara might come to talk to him. Naraku performed a wave of hand rubs before accepting Tsunade's reward. Bite. Tsunade's use of King of Beasts Lion King has reached the intermediate level, talent copy activation. Senju clan physique is intermediate level. Naraku received another physical enhancement, and this time, he has received 2 intermediate enhancements of the Senju clan's physique, and 2 primary enhancements. It's a pity that I'm still a little short of self-evolution to the advanced level of Senju physique. Naraku then opened the system panel, looked at his chakra amount, and found that it had reached 20 calories without knowing it. He can proudly say that in the ninja world, a person under the age of 10 has 20 cards in his body, which he can never use up. He can't use them up at all. In the Hokage office, Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally received an invitation from Onoki for a meeting with the 5 shadows. He took a long puff of cigarette and then slowly exhaled it. To be honest, he didn't want to go, but he had to go. He felt that if he didn't go this time, Konoha might face the siege of 4 ninja villages. But if he goes there, he may not have to wait until later during the war. He can be directly besieged by those people. Danzo, as Konoha's underground Hokage, would naturally not be polite to Sarutobi Hiruzen, so he took Onoki's letter and read it. When he saw the section where he asked Konoha to hand over Uchiha Naraku, and finally asked that the weapons forged by Uchiha Naraku be shared by the 5 major nations, Danzo became furious and slapped Sarutobi Hiruzen's desk hard with his hand. Superior. Sarutobi Hiruzen stopped smoking. He stared blankly at Danzo, his eyes seeming to say, this is obviously my desk as Hokage. Isn't it a bit rude of you to slap my desk like this? Danzo now regards Naraku as his subordinate, and now other villages want Uchiha Naraku's weapons, and even Naraku himself. What is that? That's digging into his Shimura Danzo roots. Hiruzen, we must not hand over Uchiha Naraku. We only need to give Uchiha Naraku some time and try our best to drag out the war. When Uchiha Naraku forges a sufficient number of weapons, the 4 major ninja villages will be just rubbish. Dog, Danzo said, staring at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen ignored Danzo, who was a bit superior, and instead looked at Mito Kaden and Kaharu. I want to see what these two people think. After going to bed, Kaharu looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, when you feel that nothing can be done, you can hand over Uchiha Naraku. Then the fragile alliance of the 4 ninja villages will collapse in an instant, not to mention that Kurigakure has always been I don't want to interfere with the affairs of other ninja villages. Mito Kadoyan also expressed his thoughts. We may be able to win over some friends with the weapons forged by Uchiha Naraku and then continue to develop our strength. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at his 3 consultants. What level of insects were they all? What methods were recommended? They were either mindless radicalism or constantly retreating and trying to avoid the problem by retreating on their own. But he doesn't have any good ideas now, but he knows. War should be inevitable. Sarutobi Hiruzen said to the 3 people in front of him, war should be inevitable, the Jonin meeting will start tomorrow. This time Danzo heard that Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to agree with his idea, and he said appreciatively to Sarutobi Hiruzen, not bad. Hiruzen, you finally listened to my advice for once. Danzo walked out of Hokage's office slowly this time. Looking at the ajar door, he turned around and closed the door gently. Hiruzen Sarutobi, who was immersed in dealing with government affairs, waited for a long time before Danzo closed the door with a bang, which made him feel a little uncomfortable. When he looked up, he found that Danzo was gone. After finishing the meeting, Danzo immediately returned to his base, and then arranged for his men to call Naraku. Naraku, who was tinkering with Hashirama's cells in Danzo's office, heard what Jinbe said and went there happily. He remembered that the last time he forged the invigorating armor, he didn't even ask for money. When Danzo saw Naraku coming, he forced his face to twist into a smile. He tried to imitate Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Naraku, do you need anything recently? This was what Naraku was waiting for. Shishida opened his mouth and said, Danzo-sama, I have no inspiration recently. Can you give me some cells of Shodai's body and give me the sealed book by the way? I heard that there are many forbidden arts created by second Hokage Senju Tobarama. Quote. Danzo despised Naraku in his heart, but after using second-generation Hashirama's cells once, he became unapologetic about this inhumane behavior, and instead wanted the cells of first-generation Senju Hashirama's body. Sure enough, as the teacher said, Uchiha are an evil clan. As for the sealed book that Naraku mentioned later, even he couldn't see it at will. Even if he wanted to see it, he would need Sarutobi Hiruzen's permission. Not to mention ordinary ninjas, they must have made great achievements and be a direct descendant of the Hokage faction to be able to choose one. The Uchiha kid in front of me is indeed greedy. Danzo said. I may give you some cells from Shodai's body, but you have to use them sparingly. As for the Book of Sealing, the forbidden techniques in it are too dangerous. You are still young, and it is still too early for you. Quote. After hearing this, Naraku was not happy. Why do you mean you are still young? You have the guts to take off your pants to see who is smaller. Naraku then thought about Danzo's childless life, and the strange relationship between Danzo and Hiruzen Sarutobi, so he couldn't be gay. And it was the kind of erectile dysfunction in men that caused him to only have. Naraku looked at Danzo with a look of pity, which made Danzo a little confused. Danzo looked at Naraku and thought he was dissatisfied. He continued to comfort him. Do you know that Hiruzen Sarutobi is going to hand you over to another ninja village? Iwagakure recently held a 5-cage meeting, and they want you. Otherwise, they will threaten to attack Konoha together. Hiruzen Sarutobi has the power. You hand over your ideas. When it comes to speaking ill of Hiruzen Sarutobi, Danzo is very familiar with it. He has even thought about it. If Hiruzen Sarutobi refuses to be friends with him, he will argue with Uchiha Naraku that it is his own reason, and they will fight to the death. Get yours. After hearing this, Naraku immediately lowered his head and used chakra to stimulate his eyes, which turned red. Naraku seemed to have made up his mind and raised his head. He looked at Danzo with firm eyes and said, Danzo-sama. Since Hiruzen Sarutobi wants to throw me out of Konoha, I can only rely on you to help me. I recently had an idea. I want to forge a mecha that surpasses the Taigu. This mecha will have the power to pacify the ninja world beyond the Taigu. I have saved many materials for this mecha, and now I need your help. Quote. The greed in Danzo's heart also came to his head. He really didn't expect that he would explode such a big guy after saying bad things about Sarutobi Hiruzen. You must know that Naraku has never failed to build any weapon so far. Generally, his ideas are conservative, no result was as bad as his promise. If he could master this power that could pacify the ninja world, what kind of bicycle would he need? From now on, he can do whatever he wants. Those strategies are only needed by the weak, and the real strong will make the weak move closer consciously. Naraku looked at Danzo, who was almost drooling. Naturally, he didn't know that his few words actually made Danzo want to be a citizen of his motherland. What do you need? I fully support you, Shimura Danzo said calmly after finishing his speech. Naraku said, because the weapon is too huge and the workload is huge, I need multiple shadow clone techniques to help. Secondly, I have a premonition that this new dangerous species is extremely powerful. This is the biological core of the new weapon, and that is why new weapons can surpass Taigu. So powerful sealing techniques may also be needed. Finally, because the work is too tedious, I need the help of many talents, a lot of money, and a lot of materials. Upon hearing this, Danzo immediately made a promise, asking Naraku to go back and wait, and he would arrange everything as quickly as possible. On the way back, Naraku couldn't help but reveal a hint of the Dragon King's smile, which was too hard to suppress. He was going to get a lot of good things this time, and he even thought about finding an opportunity later to reveal the news about the Supreme Throne to Sarutobi Hiruzen and then ask for some more. After that, he used Konoha's resources to forge this S-level weapon. He had a hunch that as long as he forged this, he could upgrade the system again. As for the final ownership of the weapon, it may be that Naraku hid his own strength better. No one knows his true strength until now, so those people never thought that Naraku would take away the weapon. But Naraku doesn't mind giving Konoha's top management a little insurance to give them a sense of security. You can invest with peace of mind. Anyway, in front of the King of Weapons, all the weapons he forged will open his legs like a fool to him. Naraku thought about his Susanoo mecha, and he even thought that he might be able to fight with the now elderly Madara. If you are lucky enough to kill Madara, then unless Sage of Six Paths jumps out of the entire ninja world, he will be the true emperor of the ninja world. Of course, he can also wait until Uchiha Madara dies of old age before coming out to cause trouble. Thinking of this, Naraku realized a serious question, that is whether Uchiha Madara has paid attention to him. Naraku thought about the possibility of Uchiha Madara paying attention to him, and then found that with the noise he was making now, especially the rope tree transforming into a dragon and making trouble, there was at least half a chance that Uchiha Madara would notice him. Naraku thought for a moment that even if Uchiha Madara noticed him, he wouldn't necessarily need to worry, because even if Uchiha Madara noticed him, he wouldn't necessarily come to him. Uchiha Madara should still be looking for a suitable executor of the plan. Afterwards, Naraku thought about whether he had any way to deal with Uchiha Madara, and then found that it was unrealistic to defeat Uchiha Madara with his current strength. But he is not very afraid of Uchiha Madara, he should have no problem escaping with the means at his disposal. As long as Uchiha Madara dies, he will still be the boss in the entire ninja world. And when the God of Protection is completed, he may not be able to touch Uchiha Madara. Anyway, he is not the kind of fool who gives up getting stronger because he is afraid that the enemy will come to him. Naraku's excellent quality of receiving a red education has brought him terrifying subjective initiative. As long as it is cost-effective and beneficial to himself, he will definitely do it. This can be seen from the fact that he liked to insist on visiting some learning websites in the past. No one can stop his progress. The next morning, Konoha held a long-awaited Jonin meeting. There seemed to be only more than 10 Konoha Jonin in the original book, but there are still quite a lot of Konoha Jonin in reality, and the conference room is full. In fact, the reality should be understandable. There are so many bloodstained families and secret arts families in Konoha. These families have perfect training methods, plus the training of civilian ninjas from generation to generation. You can say that there may not be many elite Jonin, but there are still many Jonin who are powerful, and naturally they cannot be as powerful as what appears in the original work. However, because each bloodstained family likes to hide their secrets, some families in Konoha did not obtain the Jonin establishment. This also makes the number of Jonin less numerous. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo were sitting in the middle of the leadership desk in the conference room, and Kaharu and Mito Kabuto were sitting on the left and right respectively. As Sarutobi Hiruzen announced the theme of the meeting, the entire conference room began to become noisy. After all, the current situation was quite urgent, once Konoha was besieged by 4 other villages at the same time. Even Konoha cannot bear this kind of siege. Regardless of whether it can win later, even victory will come with huge sacrifices. More than half of the Jonin on the field may die. As Shimura Danzo clapped the table, he eagerly wanted to speak. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly told the method that they had discussed in a small meeting yesterday, and then Sarutobi Hiruzen began to let everyone discuss freely. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that the methods proposed by his 3 advisors were not very good, especially the method given by Danzo, which forced the entire ninja world to fight. How long can this last? On the surface, Konoha seems to be one, but if he really sacrifices the interests of the ninja clan too much, he himself will have to step down. When he himself steps down, Konoha will not be able to tell who to listen to, and the profession of ninja is not that of a blue-star politician. If the leader here wants to step down, it will take more than just impeachment. Assassination is the norm. Sarutobi Hiruzen does not want to be nailed to the pillar of shame. When the time comes, people behind him will evaluate him as a perverse act that eventually arouses dissatisfaction among the masses. He feels that he is guilty, and then commits suicide after being shot in the back with more than a dozen detonating symbols. Death. In fact, this is a good evaluation. If the newbie behind doesn't practice martial arts and gives him a good excuse to seize the position, he will be blackmailed. Not to mention himself, the Sarutobi clan will also be punished. Nailed to the pillar. So Sarutobi Hiruzen is planning to hold this meeting, at least everyone will share the pot, so that no matter what they do, they will be their own choices. After waiting for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked, "Do you have any good or better ideas?" A man with long silver hair stood up, and Kato Dan said, "Should we invite the person involved, Uchiha Naraku, to come over and ask his opinion?" A stunned young man said in a low voice, "What qualifications does Uchiha Naraku, a ninja school student, have to participate in this meeting? What qualifications does he have to make this decision?" This directly caused Uchiha's Jonin to glare at him. Kato Suan smiled and said with great affinity, "Uchiha Naraku is the core person in this matter after all, and he is the forging master of Konoha. It would be good to refer to his opinion. Maybe Uchiha Naraku can give a way to break the situation." Uchiha Kianyu also spoke. "Yes, although Uchiha Naraku is young, he has wisdom that is different from ordinary children." After speaking, he glared at the stunned Ching who had just spoken. Leng Tuking was immediately too frightened to speak. He, a Jonin who became a Jonin by luck, still did not dare to be arrogant in front of the Uchiha clan leader. Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen were a little confused when they heard Uchiha Chiengaku's words, because Uchiha Naraku always acted like a child in front of them, and showed his thoughts directly. Now listening to Uchiha Chigeke's words, if Uchiha Naraku's childish temperament in front of them was deliberately disguised, then something needs to be paid attention to. But it needs to be noted that after all, Uchiha Naraku's strength is too weak. Even if he has some thoughts, he still can't make a difference without strength. Uchiha Kianyu didn't know that he almost cheated Uchiha Naraku. He was still thinking about whether this could ease the relationship with Uchiha Naraku. This is also due to the fact that Uchiha Narakuro Slayer's identity was so good that he and Konoha seemed to be wearing the same pair of pants. In fact, Naraku didn't plan to stay in Konoha for long from the beginning. Everything he did was to become stronger, to become so strong that even the god of Otsutsuki could only kneel down and sing conquests when he came, to become so strong that he became a god and became an ancestor. After Shimura Danzo thought about Naraku's question, he looked at Kato Danzo with a dangerous look. He looked at the affable person in front of him. He was winning people's hearts at the Jonin meeting. No one from the Uchiha clan jumped out, but you kid jumped out. Danzo remembered that this kid also liked to shout about making Hokage. Perhaps because he has been in the sewer for a long time, Danzo has a natural jealousy towards this type of people, and Kato Dan still has thoughts about the Hokage's position. However, Danzo was not prepared to attack him. After all, he was a Jonin in the village who mastered forbidden arts. And Danzo doesn't think he can really become a Hokage. Kato Dan's political resources are too few. Later, Naraku was brought to the Jonin conference room with a confused look on his face. Naraku looked at Uchiha Kianyu and Kato Dan and gave him polite smiles, and he politely returned the smile. He didn't know yet that the two smart men in front of him had tricked him. After that, Kato Dan recounted the specific things to Naraku. After listening to Naraku, he knew that this meeting actually decided whether to stay or leave in the future. But he didn't want to show off, so he pretended to be obedient and said, "I don't know what to do about this. I'm willing to listen to the village's opinion." Hiruzen Sarutobi encouraged him kindly. "Naru-chan, you don't have to be restrained and speak out boldly. It's just for our reference. Your clan leader just praised you for having wisdom that is different from ordinary ninja school students." Naraku looked at Uchiha Chiengake's somewhat complacent and humble expression, as if to say, "No need to thank you. There is a saying by Naraku that I was holding in my mouth at 8 o'clock in the morning, not knowing whether to say it or not." Later, Naraku thought for a while and realized that these Konoha consultants were nothing. In this case, you only need to refer to Qin's destruction of the Six Kingdoms. Everyone who knows the history of transportation knows that Qin's strategy to deal with the alliance of the six countries mainly includes using the strategy of counterattack to destroy the six countries, adopting the strategy of distant diplomacy and close attack, and destroying the talents and unity of the six countries through bribery, alienation and other means. As for the order of annihilating each country, it is also based on the weak first and then the strong. So when you switch to the ninja world, you only need to make friends with Mizugakure, who is the farthest away. It happens that Kurigakure doesn't like to communicate with the outside world. If Naraku remembers correctly, Kurigakure didn't participate in the Second Ninja War at all and was busy working on the Blood Mist policy. Naraku suspected that this might have something to do with Uchiha Madara. Then he worked hard to kill Sunagakure, and kept killing Sunagakure until he was weak. Even if it was a territory that others didn't think highly of, who wouldn't want the territory that Bai wanted? If nothing else, Sancho Hanzo definitely wanted it. This can not only deter some small countries that may take action, but also drive a wedge between fragile alliances. Of course, the specific implementation of the plan still needs to be appropriately supplemented, and it must be based on reality and insist on seeking truth from facts. Seeing that Naraku seemed to have thought of something, Sarutobi Hiruzen encouraged him again. Naraku chose to keep part of it. He had to make Konoha feel a sense of crisis, so that it would be more convenient for Konoha to invest resources in him, preferably the kind that treats him as the last life-saving straw. But we can't put too much pressure on Konoha, otherwise it would be embarrassing if he was sold halfway through the production of the God of Protection. But don't worry too much. He is confident that he can survive, but it's just a little troublesome. Naraku said to everyone, "I think we in Konoha only need to defeat Sunagakure until we defeat Sunagakure, so that other ninja villages will take action without us in Konoha. At that time, we can use this as a threat. Whoever is weak in the enemy alliance will be made weaker. Such an alliance is very fragile. And I have a secret weapon." Hearing Naraku's words, almost everyone's eyes lit up. They didn't expect that Naraku's strategy could actually break the enemy's possible alliance. Danzo stared at Naraku with a murderous look, as if he wanted to use his eyes to threaten Naraku not to tell the story of the protector of the nation. Green Tea Naraku deliberately did not look into Danzo's eyes and said in his heart, "Xiao Tuantuan, I'm sorry for you. Although you gave a lot, Sarutobi Hiruzen seems to be able to give more this time. It's your own fault for not living up to expectations. Who said you're not a Hokage? You even asked Hiruzen Sarutobi for instructions after reading the Book of Ceilings. Sarutobi Hiruzen can mobilize the power of the entire village, but you can only dig at the roots to leak out." Sarutobi Hiruzen paid attention to Naraku's last words and asked, "Naraku-chan, what is the secret weapon you mentioned?" Sarutobi Hiruzen's question directly attracted the attention of everyone in the Jonin conference room. Considering the many powerful weapons that Naraku forged before, he could use them as secret weapons. Could it be that he could fight evil ghosts? Comparable new weapons? Naraku said, "This is a secret, you can't tell everyone." This disappointed the curious, relieved Shimura Danzo, and filled Sarutobi Hiruzen with joy. The subsequent meeting ended quickly. With the strong recommendation of Sarutobi Hiruzen and others, most of them agreed to Naruti's plan. After the meeting, Kato Dan also tried to build a relationship with Naraku. Naraku was a little speechless. You, my potential love rival, dare to come over and try to win over me with empty words. You thought you were Tsunade. You thought I was Tsunade. Afterwards, Naraku said goodbye politely and came to the Hokage office. This time there were only Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura in the office. In fact, Hiruzen Sarutobi originally wanted to hear the secret alone. But Danzo shamelessly forced his way in. Later, Naraku repeated what he had said to Danzo before. Danzo almost got angry and wanted to tell Naraku's dirty information several times. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Hongwen's good friend next to him and thought he was excited by Naraku's idea. After all, Sarutobi Hiruzen was not Danzo. He grasped the key to the problem and asked, "How long will it take to forge this new weapon?" Naraku thought for a while and replied, "If all the conditions are met, I am confident that the production can be completed within 2.5 years. If everything goes well, 2 years will be enough." After that, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked some more questions and let Naraku go back. As soon as Naraku left, Danzo followed suit. Sarutobi Hiruzen reviewed what happened today, and he found that Naraku was not that simple. So he planned to arrange for Tsunade, the teacher, to quickly return to Konoha to monitor Uchiha Naraku. In fact, he was a little dissatisfied with Tsunade for accepting Naraku as her disciple without notifying him at first. After all, Naraku is an Uchiha. Now it seems that this is simply a stroke of genius. What Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know was that he was under surveillance, and Naraku couldn't ask for it more. If Naraku hadn't been restricted by the god-tier presence, a child could have built a whole yard. On the other hand, Naraku thought for a while and thought that although Danzo gave less, it was still necessary sometimes. So we came to the root. Some people say that money is a man's courage. In the extraordinary world, strength is a man's courage. Now that he has gained strength, Naraku is in a mood to look at the basic decoration. Danzo came over and yelled at Naraku, "Uchiha Naraku, what did you want to do when you fell to the ground?" Naraku pretended to be innocent and said, "Danzo-sama, I am thinking about you. In today's situation, I had no choice but to say it, otherwise Sarutobi Hiruzen would definitely sell me." Quote. Danzo softened a little, but still said angrily, "You don't believe I can save you?" Naraku said aggrievedly, "I'm just a little scared, and Danzo-sama, this new weapon consumes too many resources. The roots are difficult to supply. Actually, one thing I didn't tell Hiruzen Sarutobi is that the core of this new weapon can be recognized as its owner during the forging process. You only need to drip your own blood on the core in advance, and only you and your descendants can use this weapon in the future. When the time comes, you will feel able to control that weapon, and then Sarutobi Hiruzen will be working for our roots in vain." Danzo was very happy when he heard this. He didn't expect to have such a backup plan. Danzo said eagerly to Naraku, "Then take out the core." Naraku pretended to take out the core of the guardian god's throne from the scroll and said, "This is the core of the new weapon, but it needs to be combined with biological materials to be useful." Danzo still refused to give up and dripped blood on the core, and then realized that Naraku must not have lied. He said to Naraku, "You put the core away, but after you integrate the biological materials, no, you captured the biological materials. You must be accompanied by me throughout the whole process." But what happened today made Danzo wary of Naraku. Danzo called his subordinates, and after a while, a cute and timid-looking girl appeared in front of Naraku. Danzo said to Naraku, "Naraku, you have done a good job. I happen to have a good subordinate who can be your personal assistant. I just pretend to be your maid. She is still in the same grade as you." In order to win people's hearts, Danzo said to the girl, "You have to listen to Naraku's orders, you know. No matter what the request is, you must obey it." The cute girl also nodded seriously, then walked up to Naraku and said, "Sir Naraku, my name is Medicine Master Nono, and I will be your maid and assistant from now on. Please give me your orders, Lord Naraku." Naraku looked at this scene with a confused look on his face. What a slave trade, right? Illegal use of child labor, right? This is also the first time he knows that he comes to work in Genbu and sends slaves, right? Later, Naraku said that he liked this assistant very much. Naraku comforted himself that this was to reassure Danzo and to save this poor girl. Chapter 91. Naraku felt that he was too lazy to explain the identity of the pharmacist no, so he argued with Danzo before allowing the maid to stay away from him. Naraku went back after a busy day. For some reason, Naraku, who was peeing, felt as if someone was paying attention to him. But this feeling is not like Sarutobi Hiruzen's telescope technique, and the duration is too short. Naraku can only regard this as an illusion. This kind of illusion is actually quite common. It's like if the other party accidentally sends a head, it will make people think that I can make a comeback. Very common. Ah Fei hid underground and muttered to himself in an exaggerated tone, "What a dangerous situation. I thought he discovered me just now. It is indeed a mission that Master Madara personally ordered me to carry out. It is indeed extraordinary." Naraku suddenly remembered that there were two secret techniques of the Uchiha clan that he had not yet learned, namely Izanagi and Izanami. So Naraku found Uchiha Min and Uchiha Chiengaku, and he was going to hold a meeting. Naraku feels that the war is coming, and it is time for him to strengthen the strength of the Uchiha clan. It can be said that every Uchiha clan member is Naraku's potential wing. So it is good to die less, but even if it is not good, let Uchiha kill more enemies to enrich his Shinigami temple. And considering that he will run away in the future, he decided to win over a few people, so that no one would be willing to follow him like Uchiha Madara. After that, he would focus on breaking through to S level. He also saw that, just forging A-level weapons, unless they were haunted by evil spirits and could evolve, the upper limit would not be very high. And he is very curious about what the system will look like after it is upgraded. I want to learn Izanagi and Izanami, can you give me these two forbidden techniques? Naraku said calmly. No, Uchiha Min immediately retorted, but Uchiha Chiengaku caught wa Dian, Naraku, have you awakened Sharingan? And you have 3 Magatama. Generally speaking, the earlier the Sharingan awakens, the better the person's talent. For example, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke awakened to Sharingan when they were 8 and 7 years old respectively. As for Sharingan, Naraku's 9-year-old 3 Magatama, no one in the entire Uchiha clan seems to be able to do it. Of course, it does not mean that late awakening time means poor talent. For example, Uchiha Madara awakened at the age of 15. Uchiha realized this and asked, "When did you awaken Sharingan? Why didn't you tell me?" Naraku said a little impatiently, "You don't need to worry about such trivial matters, my future will definitely surpass ordinary Mangekyo-level powerhouses. I need to learn those 2 forbidden techniques now, which can be used as a life-saving measure in emergencies. And I am going to forge a batch of vassals for the Uchiha clan. Can you find the 5 strongest people in the Uchiha clan? Then you let the 5 of them freely choose their weapon abilities based on this list, and I will help them customize the weapons." Quote. Although Uchiha Chiengaku had many doubts, he did not press for questions. Instead, regardless of the face of his clan leader, he bowed his head and thanked Naraku. "The Uchiha clan thanks you for your dedication." The full-fledged Naraku was not too polite, but said jokingly, "If the leader of the Chiyu clan hands over the position of clan leader to me in 2.5 years, I will recreate the glory of Uchiha." Uchiha Kianyu's face froze and he could only smile without responding. Afterwards, Naraku took the scroll and left. Before leaving, Naraku warned Uchiha not to reveal information about himself at will. Naraku had no interest in beating the clan leader, so he handed over the subsequent task to Uchiha. Watching Uchiha Min and Uchiha Chiengaku perform Konoha's classic duet, Naraku smiled happily. Naraku returned to the room and opened the scroll of forbidden arts and read it carefully. The first is Izanagi, a genjutsu capable of manipulating reality, allowing the user to alter the events he or she experiences so that they conform to their wishes. By turning an adverse situation into an advantage, you can even change the outcome of death. In the plot, people like Danzo Shimura and Brother Duko both used Izanagi to avoid fatal blows. And Izanami is also a highly complex genjutsu, and is the only genjutsu that can stop Izanagi. Izanami can record a scene where the other party and she act together, and let the same scene play out again. The opponent who is hit by genjutsu will be imprisoned in the time between the first scene and the second scene remembered in the mind, entering a world of infinite reincarnation. If the opponent wants to unlock genjutsu like Izanami, he must accept your original destiny and repent with integrity. Uchiha Itachi used Izanami to control Kabuto Yakushi during the Fourth Ninja War, making him realize that his actions were wrong, which ultimately led to Kabuto Yakushi's ability to undo the Filthy Earth reincarnation technique. It can be said that both forbidden techniques have quite buggy abilities, that is, the side effects are a bit serious, and both require a 3 Magatama Sharingan. Maybe it's because both techniques have terrible side effects, or maybe it's because Naraku is so talented that he is a unique ninjutsu prodigy. Naraku felt that he had learned these 2 forbidden techniques in just a moment. Later, Naraku's life-saving ability became stronger again. It seemed that because the war was coming, Hiruzen Sarutobi increased his efficiency, that is, in the afternoon. Naraku was taken to the Hokage office, and Hiruzen Sarutobi reminded Naraku, "The art of multiple shadow clone is my teacher, and it is also an A-level ninjutsu invented by second generation. Use the huge amount of chakra to increase the number of shadow clone, which can be divided at once, create thousands of shadow clone. Because this technique consumes too much chakra, if someone without a large amount of chakra uses this technique, it will hurt themselves or even endanger their lives. Therefore, it is listed as a forbidden technique and recorded in the sealed book. Naraku, I didn't really want you to learn such a dangerous technique, but the village has reached its most dangerous moment, and there can only be a little danger. You can learn this ninjutsu in front of me, but you must pay attention to the number of clones. Don't be too greedy and make too many clones. You first refine chakra with all your strength, and let me estimate your chakra amount." Quote. Naraku thought to himself, if I really try my best to refine chakra, are you afraid that the Hokage hat will fly off? Then he carefully released a card of power. Sarutobi Hiruzen praised, Naraku, your chakra amount is no less than that of some jonin who lack chakra. When you grow up, you should have more total chakra, but it is best not to divide 10 or more chakra when using multiple shadow clone techniques now. Only when your proficiency in this technique increases and your chakra control ability increases can you consider increasing the number of clones. Quote. After that, Naraku carefully read the specific abilities of the scroll, and then discovered that the multiple shadow clone techniques are very similar to the shadow clone technique. After mastering the shadow clone technique, the difficulty is not very high. But for a ninja school student, especially a student whose chakra only has the power of 1 card, it stands to reason that it still takes a while to learn. Naruto was able to learn it so quickly, which can only be said to be a real cheat. Naraku immediately decided to reveal a little bit of his peerless talent. Naraku completed the seals at a speed of a turtle crawling, and then separated into 5 soft-footed shrimps and 5 inhuman creatures. After the clones were separated, Naraku still pretended that he seemed a little weak. But Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little surprised. He felt that Uchiha Naraku's talent as a ninja had been underestimated before, but as it showed, at most he could become an elite jonin in the future. And even this will take a long time. With his loyal disciple Tsunade who loves the village, Naraku must not be able to stir up any trouble. Naraku, your ninjutsu talent seems to be very good. In the future, you must be careful when using multiple shadow clone techniques. Only after you can perfectly separate 5 shadow clone can you continue to increase the number. It feels like the chakra is almost exhausted. You should also know. Sarutobi Hiruzen reminded him at the end. Yeah, Konoha's sweet baby Naraku also agreed. For this meeting of the 5 shadows, Hiruzen Sarutobi finally decided to go ahead of schedule. This time, Hiruzen Sarutobi brought his old teammates Akamaiki Fang and Shimura Danzo along with some Anbu guards. Since each village didn't believe that other ninja villages would carry out sneak attacks, the group of people prepared to go to the Iron Kingdom for a meeting. Although the current Iron Kingdom has not yet completely developed into a neutral country, under the leadership of Mifune, most of the forces in the Iron Kingdom have also expressed their stance that they will no longer be involved in ninja fighting. So these ninjas all went to the samurai's territory to have a meeting. Mifune was also invited to be the host of this meeting. What's interesting is that the leaders of each village during this period were all third-generation members, and several of these third-generation members were also known as the strongest in history. Sitting in the conference room were 3rd Raikage, 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, 3rd generation Iwakage Onoki, 3rd generation Kazekage, and 3rd Mizukage. Third Hokage is a muscular man with long blonde hair and a little beard under his chin. Third generation Hokage is a middle-aged man with blue hair and yellow eyes. Third Mizukage is a middle-aged man with long black hair and narrow eyes. Among the people standing aside were Mifune, Shimura Danzo, Akamiki, Chiyo and some guards who did not appear in the original work. Then let the meeting begin. Mifune announced the beginning of the meeting. Due to the previous war, only Sunagaku was the weakest and suffered the greatest losses. Chiyo immediately asked, when will Konoha give up imprisoning Uchiha Naraku? Shimura Danzo was already feeling angry because he couldn't sit down. Now that I see Chiyo being so arrogant, I can't bear it anymore. He yelled, when did we in Konoha imprison Uchiha Naraku? You want me to tell you, you Sunagaku imprisoned the daimyo of the Country of Wind, and when did you release the daimyo of the Country of Wind? Chiyo instantly broke through Hongwen's defense and threatened, do you want to test whether my puppet's poisonous needle is sharp? Shimura Danzo instantly pulled out the 8th house, stared at Chiyo and said, my sword is not bad at all. The atmosphere in the entire conference room became tense. Onoki said calmly, Hokage and Kazekage, it seems that your guarding skills are not very good. Kage didn't even speak, but these guards started to speak. I have to say that Onoki's mouth was still poisonous, attracting all the hatred in an instant. Everyone was staring at Onoki, especially Danzo. He usually felt that he was a man of the same status as Sarutobi Hiruzen in the village, but he didn't expect to suffer such insults when he came out. He decided that if he ever had such an occasion again, he would definitely be the one sitting down. Third Hokage once again turned the topic to Uchiha Naraku, and once again asked Konoha to hand over Uchiha Naraku. Sarutobi Hiruzen finally stood up and spoke, it is impossible for Konoha to hand over its ninjas at will. The only concession we Konoha can make is that Uchiha Naraku will not forge any Taigu in the next 3 years. Afraid that everyone would not know the concept of Taigu, Sarutobi Hiruzen went out of his way to explain it. This was also discussed before this meeting. Since Naraku needs to devote himself entirely to the forging of new weapons in the future, there is a high probability that he will not forge new Taigu. Just use this as a concession in the meeting. Onoki said calmly, how can we confirm whether Uchiha Naraku can forge any weapons? Let's hand over Uchiha Naraku. We will share the weapons he forges equally in the future. Sarutobi Hiruzen firmly refused. Third generation Kazekage threatened, aren't you Konoha afraid of the siege of our 4 villages? Sarutobi Hiruzen also showed the spirit of a ninja bear and shouted to the third generation Kazekage, I won't give you Sunagaku even if I get points. Once several villages besiege Konoha, we Konoha will keep an eye on it. You Sunagaku will fight. Keep fighting until you destroy the village. Konoha has this strength. When the time comes, Konoha is willing to share your territory equally with other ninja villages. Sarutobi Hiruzen's words shocked third generation Kazekage speechlessly. He thought about it and found that Konoha can really do this. The third generation Kazekage has been carefully managing his reputation in the village to create the title of the strongest Kazekage. He did not expect that attending this meeting would embarrass him so much. Onoki also felt that the fragile alliance seemed to be broken, and said quickly, as long as Konoha dares to attack Sunagaku with all its strength, we will definitely help Sunagaku. Attack the land of fire with all our strength. Shimura Danzo sarcastically said, really? Don't want the territory that Haku has conquered in Konoha. I think you want to do Kazekage. Besides, it's just Sunagaku. As long as we in Konoha have half of our troops, we can destroy Sunagaku. After destroying Sunagaku, we in Konoha will directly attack Iwagakure with all our strength. Then the ninja world will be left to Kumogakure and Kurigakure to rule. What do you think of this, Onoki? Danzo's hawkish views directly silenced Onoki. Onoki looked around the conference room and found that Mizukage seemed to have been silent. He immediately said, Third Mizukage, you should say something. Third Mizukage, we Kurikage have been living on the island and don't want to get involved in the war of the ninja world. Onoki almost lost his temper when he heard this. How could a good alliance just disappear like this? It's not enough. Onoki was also furious, and turned to threaten, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to leave the Kingdom of Iron? Next to him, Mifune was a little helpless. These ninjas really didn't have any quality, and the meeting together was about to turn into an assassination. Good thing they didn't promise safety. Otherwise, 5 shadows will come, and only one will go back in the end, and the Iron Kingdom might be surrounded. In fact, Onoki also wanted to save face. He just wanted to kill Konoha's arrogance with a threat and then continue the negotiation. But Onoki's words made Chiyo eager to give it a try. Chiyo shouted, "Kill Konoha Hokage and Shimura Danzo, and then we will divide Konoha and Uchiha Naraku's equipment together." Danzo stood up with Hachifusa in hand and cursed angrily, "Old woman. What did you say? Believe it or not, I will kill you now." As the meeting became chaotic, several people on the scene already had different thoughts. However, either out of consideration for the reputation of the great country ninja village or the fact that the Kage who killed Konoha was attacked by Konoha, the others did not take action. Third Raikage, I watched a few people arguing for so long, but he didn't do anything, and he was already bored. Their habit of Kumogakure is not to quarrel when they can take action. Everyone speaks based on their strength, which is also the reason why there are few internal conflicts in Kumogakure. If there are any conflicts, they will be resolved when they come to power. Even if they disagree with each other after coming to power, they do it directly, such as the two brothers Jin Zhao and Yin Zhao. But now these people in front of me treat the 5 Shadows Conference as if they were scolding shrews. At this time, they and Kumogakure can elect Raikage once. Raikage I looked at Chiyo and Danzo, who were still exhaling sweet things to each other, and said in a deep voice, "Since you want to fight so much, why not let's have a fight, not only to determine who is superior but also to decide life and death." After hearing these words, Chiyo became a little scared. She changed her angry attitude and suddenly became docile. Onoki looked at Chiyo and gave in, and said without taking it too seriously, "Aren't you just entertaining us?" At this time, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had been silent, understood that Kurigakure was most likely not willing to fight, and Kumogakure did not have a strong desire to attack. Iwagakure and Sunagakure have a strong desire to attack, and they should have a relatively large appetite. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen's compromising side showed up. He wanted to win over Kumogakure and Kurigakure. He promised that Kumogakure and Kurigakure could each obtain a Taigu as long as they did not attack Konoha in the next 3 years. And emphasized that this is already Uchiha Naraku's Taigu production in the next 3 years. I didn't have such high patience and said, 3 years is too long, and what if you don't give it to us by then? 1.5 years. For Kumogakure, although the land of fire is very fragrant, the territory of the land of earth also has a unique flavor. The two families also fought many times. Just like the situation in the original book, during the Second Ninja War, 2 great ninja villages besieged Konoha. Kumogakure didn't think of going together to besiege Konoha. Instead, he thought of stealing Iwagakure's butt while Iwagakure was empty, which made Iwagakure rush back to the defense. The duo next to them, Onoki and Sunagakure, were so angry that their teeth fell out. After getting the promises from Kumogakure and Kurigakure, Sarutobi Hiruzen also left with satisfaction. He was a little afraid that he and others would be surrounded. Onoki and Chiyo made a hint with their eyes. Then Konoha and his party left shortly after. Iron Country border. Dust style, the art of peeling off the original world. A rectangular parallelepiped attack instantly appeared on Sarutobi Hiruzen and his party. Fortunately, Dust Style's attack countdown was relatively long, which allowed Sarutobi Hiruzen and others to easily dodge. Onoki, Chiyo, and third-generation Kage slowly appeared in front of several people. The current situation can be said to put Sarutobi Hiruzen and others at a huge disadvantage. Although Akamiki is considered powerful, fighting against these 3 people is considered to be restrained, and even if he is not restrained, Akamiki's hard power is not as good as that of his opponent. So Sarutobi Hiruzen winked at Shimura Danzo, but Shimura Danzo thought it was Sarutobi Hiruzen asking who was going to fight whom, and said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "You are holding Onoki and the 3rd generation back in this battle. Kage, wait until I kill that old woman before I help you." After saying that, he rushed forward regardless of the 2 people's obstruction. It can be said that Danzo has become more and more brave because of his equipment advantages. Of course, this time he was not simply fighting for Sarutobi Hiruzen and others, what he wanted was to use the 8 rooms in his hand to directly kill everyone present. In this way, even without Naraku's secret weapon, He is confident that he can rely on 5 shadow level experts including himself to reach 8 shadow levels as quickly as possible, and finally unify the 5 major villages in the ninja world. This is his Shimura Danzo ambition. Chiyo quickly released his puppet from the scroll. However, what surprised everyone was that Danzo also obediently took the puppet from the scroll. Is it possible that Shimura Danzo learned the puppet technique when? Chiyo mocked. Do you Konoha still play with puppets? If you play puppetry in front of Sunagaker, if you play puppetry in front of me, Danzo, you have to think carefully. Danzo showed the Dragon King's classic smile. You'll know after you try it. Later, Chiyo took out 10 puppets. The origins of these 10 puppets are not simple. They are all 10 machine puppets made by the puppet master Bunziman. Each puppet has its own weapon, ninja tool and attack method. Known as 10 Chikamatsu. Danzo also created 8 puppets. In order to hide their identities, Danzo's 8 zombie puppets all had different body shapes, but they all wore black clothes similar to night clothes, and even their faces had masks. In order to defeat his opponent more easily, Chiyo directly started talking trash. Why only 8? As if he felt that he had lost face because of his small number, Danzo used his psychic technique to bring out his psychic beast, the Dream Taper, to support the crowd. As Chiyo attached the chakra thread to the puppet, Chiyo's puppet began to move slowly. Danzo raised Hachifo into the sky, and a black energy ball appeared above the tip of Hachifo's sword. The power of the energy ball extended to Danzo's 8 puppets, and Danzo's puppets also began to move. Chiyo saw that Danzo could control the puppet without the chakra thread, and said in surprise, Danzo, what kind of technique are you doing? You can control the puppet without the chakra thread. Danzo shouted. This is the power of the Taigu. Die under this power. Danzo's 5 puppets rushed forward immediately. Chiyo observed with the naked eye that these so-called puppets actually had feet, and based on the footprints, they were basically the weight of normal people. So Chiyo doesn't really believe that these people are puppets. So several of Chiyo's puppets opened their big mouths one after another and spit out poisonous needles one by one. It's a pity that Chiyo's poison has no effect on the corpse doll in front of him. Not to mention this kind of poison, even Murasama's poison is ineffective against these corpses. Danzo controlled the 5 corpse dolls to get out of the way one by one, surrounding Chiyo in the middle. Chiyo looked at this picture and suddenly felt something bad. Reality was developing in a bad direction, and the 5 corpse dolls standing around Chiyo quickly formed seals. At this time, Chiyo moved quickly and formed a triangle formation with 3 puppets. The puppets opened their mouths and opened the mechanisms, Buddha, Dharma, and Monk, respectively. 5 escapes Dalian bullet technique. Shimura Danzo's 5 corpse puppets each used ninjutsu with 5 different attributes: fire, thunder, water, earth, and wind to fly towards Chiyo and her 10 puppets at the same time. Puppet technique. 3 treasures absorb. At the last moment, Chiyo formed a seal and used the secret technique of creating a puppet. A violent tornado appears, absorbing the 5 escape attack into the center of the formation. Chiyo watched as the terrifying 5 escapes continued to gather, and there were faint signs of exceeding the limit of the 3 treasures. Originally, the 3 treasures absorption system could completely compress the absorbed material in the middle of the array, and then shoot it out from the rear of the array. But now this kind of operation is not allowed at all. Chiyo could only give up the 3 puppets 1 second before the collapse. As the attacks with different attributes came into contact and were fully integrated, a devastating explosion occurred in an instant. This explosion directly destroyed Chiyo's 3 puppets instantly. Not only that, Chiyo also used a puppet to use the mechanical light shield technique. Blocking it fiercely in front of him, this technique uses a puppet mechanism as a medium to transform one's own chakra into a shield to defend against everything. In the original work, even the scorpion-strengthened sand-iron sugar can withstand it. However, it was still a bit inadequate in the face of the 5-release, Dalian bullet technique. The puppet in front of Chiyo was directly destroyed, and she herself was thrown heavily to the ground. The terrifying formation here stunned several people nearby, and they all turned their attention to Danzo's battlefield. 3rd generation Kazekage and Onoki also felt a sense of urgency. They originally thought that the ninja who was weaker than Sarutobi Hiruzen actually had such strength. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt like he was being NT read. He felt that the 5 escapes and large continuous bullets technique performed by Danzo's 5 puppets seemed to be stronger than his own, and when did Danzo learn the 5 escapes and Dalian bullets technique? But as the opponent's offensive became more fierce, Sarutobi Hiruzen had to turn his attention back to his own battle. Onoki's dust style had no way to defend. After Danzo calmed down, he immediately controlled the pair of swordsman corpse puppets to perform last-ditch attacks. In addition to the 5 corpse puppets of Danzo's 8 puppets who were good at basic escape techniques, the remaining 3 Danzo were replaced by top swordsman ninjas, genjutsu ninjas from the Kurama clan, and a blood-stained escape ninja. Granny Chio, who was on the ground, struggled to get up, and used her remaining 6 puppets to fly towards Shimura Danzo's 5 release corpse dolls and swordsmanship corpse dolls respectively. Danzo was not afraid to let his corpse doll attack, and then Danzo was like a lion majesty waiting for his opportunity. It's not that Danzo didn't want to dispatch 8 corpse dolls at the same time, but controlling 6 corpse dolls at the same time made Danzo's body feel a strong pressure. Part of the chakra consumed by these dolls is borne by Danzo himself. In addition, the use of divine tools also consumes a certain amount of physical strength of the user. It can be said that Danzo at this time is not suitable for fighting, let alone a few more corpse dolls. But what makes Danzo happy is that his own corpse doll has indeed retained the fighting instincts of many deceased people, and is fighting in a dominant posture. As long as Danzo continues to fight, Chio will definitely be killed by Danzo. However, at this moment, Akamiki screamed and was knocked away by the iron sand of the 3rd generation Kazekage. 3rd generation Kazekage did not go for the last hit, but prepared to rush to Danzo. Danzo cursed in his heart a waste, and then immediately gave up the control of the 2 puppets, letting the puppets fight according to their own instincts. Then he endured the discomfort and controlled the Kurama clan doll to use genjutsu on Chio, and the transparent doll also slowly became invisible. Since this ninja of the Kurama clan has not awakened the blood inheritance limit before him, Danzo can only let him use Konoha's traditional genjutsu. Magic tree binding killing. In Chio's eyes, he was entangled in the trees and could not move at all. As a veteran cage-level powerhouse, she naturally knew that she had been hit by genjutsu, and she hurriedly tried to remove the genjutsu. However, the genjutsu used by the ninjas of the Kurama clan is not so easy to solve. Chio was just happy that she had solved the genjutsu. A transparent ninja appeared behind him and stabbed Chio's heart fiercely with the long knife in his hand. Fortunately, 3rd generation Kazekage arrived at this time, and he used sand iron to try to change the sword of the Toritsu doll. He succeeded but failed at the same time. The Tuyu doll pierced Chio's waist with a knife. The transparent puppet saw that the weapon in his hand was covered with iron sand, and he quickly let go of the weapon and disappeared again. 3rd generation Kazekage jumped in front of Chio, used sand iron to form a shield around him, and asked about Chio's situation. Chio gritted his teeth and pulled out the long knife from his waist. With a pop, the long knife was pulled out. Blood also flowed down Chio's waist. Chio endured the severe pain in her waist and said to 3rd generation Kazekage, "Kazekage-sama, you hold on to Danzo first, I will come over to help you later." Chio later used the medical ninjutsu Sage Jutsu to treat the puncture wound on his waist. This ninjutsu can repair some cells and speed up cell regeneration. It's quite useful for the current injury. Taking advantage of the gap just now, Danzo used ninjutsu, a combination of fire style and wind release, to break the iron wall formed by the 3rd generation Kazekage, but it has to be said that the defense of this iron wall is still good. Although the iron wall is gradually melting away, it is still being replenished, standing in front of the eyes. In the end, the use of ninjutsu on the doll controlled by Danzo was completed, but the iron wall still did not completely melt away. Something happened that surprised Shimura Danzo. The sand and iron in front of him suddenly spread out and began to appear in the sky. Chio also retreated into the distance the moment the iron wall dispersed. Magnet-style sand-iron boundary method. The 3rd generation Kazekage uses sand iron to form large barriers with spikes in the air and performs a piercing attack on the ground. Many of Danzo's puppets had no time to avoid the attack and were instantly pierced in place. Although these dolls will not die, they cannot move. And 3rd generation Kazekage even more cunningly formed a wing of sand iron on his back, soaring and attacking freely in the barriers. Danzo looked at the menacing third-generation Kazekage, and now he knew that he had to deal with the enemy in front of him before he could hope to kill Chio. Although he can continue to arrange puppets to sneak attack Chio, Chio will definitely increase his vigilance after the sneak attack just now. In this case, even if he can escape, there is no chance of a successful sneak attack. And as long as Chio withdraws from the extreme distance that Danzo can control the puppet, Danzo can only be blinded. Danzo looked at the 4 corpse puppets in front of him that could still move freely, namely fire, swordsmanship, penetration, and genjutsu puppets. He immediately arranged for the fire-style puppets to rescue the other puppets, and the remaining 3 puppets joined Danzo to fight Kazekage. The first to bear the brunt is the sword puppet and Kazekage fighting together. Third-generation Kazekage used iron sand to condense an iron spike that constantly collided with the sword in the sword puppet's hand. I have to say that Danzo's sword puppet is still very strong. This puppet is a samurai master with superb swordsmanship that Danzo used all his strength to carefully select. It is because of his old age, serious illness and seclusion that his reputation is not high. Third-generation Kazekage looked at Danzo's fire-style puppet rescuing other puppets, and knew that he could no longer fight the samurai puppet in front of him. While using his flexible displacement to avoid the puppet's attacks, he continued to condense iron sand to harass. Soon the swordsmanship puppet became a little unsustainable. After all, no matter how powerful his swordsmanship was, Joby's iron sand restricted his movement, and the third-generation Kazekage could fly again. After another sword attack from the swordsman puppet failed, it was directly penetrated by Kazekage's piercing sand iron. Danzo no longer looks for a good opportunity and can only arrange for the Genjutsu ninja to use Genjutsu on Kazekage. Magic tree binding killing. After that, the transparent puppet, which had been hidden for a long time, also stabbed the third-generation Kazekage in the back like a lion majesty. As the third-generation Kazekage turned into sand, Danzo secretly cried out. The iron sand that had been ambushed around him directly pierced the transparent puppet. Then Kazekage formed a seal with his hands and took a deep breath. Wind escape vacuum jade. Kazekage's mouth turned into an air gun. No, it should be an air cannon. Continuously fire air cannons at Danzo's 2 puppets. Danzo looked at the third-generation Kazekage Zangman Nongfang, and used the wind release, vacuum Dayama at a faster speed to attack Kazekage. After third-generation Kazekage smashed the sword puppet into pieces, he himself was hit by Danzo's vacuum Otama and fell heavily to the ground. The only good thing was that he used iron sand to condense a thick shield at the last moment to resist some of the damage. Third-generation Kazekage looked at Danzo, who had always kept a distance from him. At most, he could only use ninjutsu from a distance. The cooperation of several puppets was also very good. He couldn't help but feel very shameless about Danzo's fighting method. If it were a real person, he felt that Danzo would never be able to sacrifice his men so casually. What's even worse is that the 4 impaled puppets before Danzo were rescued. He could actually give priority to killing these 4 puppets first, but he felt that it was a good time to kill Danzo's body just now, so he did not give priority to destroying them. At this time, Onoki and Sarutobi Hiruzen in the distance were still peeking in the Imperial City, fighting back and forth. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen still had a slight advantage, wielding the stick in his hand with great force. Onoki would not be able to bear it if he took one of Hiruzen Sarutobi's blows. But Onoki's dust style should not be underestimated. Although his dust style is slow to start, there is almost no way to defend it in the entire ninja world. Onoki put his hands together and opened a cube transparent barrier between his palms. Dust style, the art of peeling off the original world. In an instant, Hiruzen Sarutobi was separated into an atomic state, and a huge explosion occurred. Onoki tried to find the possible figure of Sarutobi Hiruzen in the smoke, but a black stick flew out of the smoke, and Onoki narrowly escaped. Looking at the unharmed Sarutobi Hiruzen emerging from the smoke. At this time, Onoki felt that if he fought a war of attrition with Sarutobi Hiruzen, he would probably not be able to defeat him, because his physical skills were too far behind Sarutobi Hiruzen. If he used ordinary ninjutsu, he would not be able to beat Sarutobi Hiruzen, the ninjutsu doctor. However, using dust style consumes too much chakra, but he felt that if he had to wait a few more years, Sarutobi Hiruzen's physical strength would decline. He can definitely suppress Hiruzen Sarutobi. If he waits another 10 years, he should be able to defeat Hiruzen Sarutobi easily. So he was ready to retreat. He flew towards the battlefield of 3rd generation Kazekage and used the dust-style original realm peeling technique again on Danzo's back. Danzo escaped to the limit, but the Genjutsu puppets and fire-style puppets from the Kurama clan were directly transformed into atoms. He was also disfigured by dust-style's subsequent explosion, but Shimura Danzo was not injured. The invigorating armor on his body easily withstood the explosion. Shimura Danzo looked at the belated arrival of Sarutobi Hiruzen and couldn't help but feel. Onoki said to 3rd generation Kazekage, "Retreat." After saying that, he left without looking back. 3rd generation Kazekage looked at Onoki, who was flying away and didn't care about scolding her anymore. He directly took back the iron sand and made a tactical transition. He took Chio, who was still recovering, and ran away. Danzo wanted to pursue but was afraid of Sunagaku's 2 deadly counterattacks and Onoki's dust style. Danzo was furious when he saw Hiruzen Sarutobi helping Akamaki Fang over. Asked, "Sarutobi Hiruzen, why don't you come over and help me? We can definitely kill the 3 of them by chasing them together. And you, Akamaki Kaifeng, why are you so weak? You can't even contain a 3rd generation Kazekage." Akamaki was in great pain right now, and he didn't bother to reply to Shimura Danzo's question. He just regretted it in his heart. At that time, his brain was twitching, and Ino Shikacho's team came over without any arrangements. It's better to face the strongest Kazekage alone. He even had a little desire to go back and retire. If he fights like this a few more times, he will never get a good ending. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo biting like a mad dog at this time, and asked Danzo, "Then why don't you leave the 2 people of Sunagaku? Onoki has already flown away." Danzo also discovered that Sarutobi Hiruzen found that he did not dare to pursue the enemy, so he could only lose the enemy but not lose the formation, and said, "Hiruzen, you will regret it." Sarutobi Hiruzen also subconsciously replied, "I am the Hokage." What was different from usual was that this time Shimura Danzo did not find a door to slam, but stroked the 8th room with his left hand. He was thinking about whether he could kill Sarutobi Hiruzen and Akamaki Tofu now, and then frame the accusations against Onoki and Sunagaku. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo, who was silent and gloomy, and was also secretly wary. In the end, Danzo gave up. Now he still has 5 puppets and consumes a lot of his own chakra. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen had never thought about defeating his opponent before. His chakra and physical strength were well preserved, and he was not sure of killing the 2 people in front of him. In addition, Konoha is now in a very dangerous situation, and the village will be destroyed if not careful. When the time comes, he will not be willing to face a mess when he takes the leadership. So in the end, even though Danzo still had the invigorating armor as his trump card, he still didn't take action. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo, who was taking the puppet back to the scroll, and breathed a sigh of relief. But he was determined to limit Danzo's combat power in the future. There were no accidents in the second half of the journey for Sarutobi Hiruzen and his party, and they returned to Konoha smoothly. As soon as the 3 of them returned to the Hokage office, Hiruzen Sarutobi called over Mito Kaden and Kaharu. These 2 people were in charge of Konoha's finances and were Hokage consultants, so there were some things they needed to know. And Akamaki Tefang knew next, they would have another meeting. He excused himself as injured and left. Later, before Kaharu could ask after going to bed, Sarutobi Hiruzen explained the specific situation. After moving to bed, Kaharu and Mito Monin both glanced at Danzo, because according to Sarutobi Hiruzen's description, Danzo first seriously injured Chio, and then suppressed the 3rd generation Kazekage. They have a relatively good understanding of Danzo's strength. After all, they are all members of the same team. This time they clearly realize the power of the Taigu again. Danzo's 8 corpses can control 8 corpses, and these corpses can directly cooperate. It is also immune to some poisonous injuries and ordinary bleeding damage. And as the corpses controlled by Danzo become stronger and stronger, their strength may become even more terrifying. Their greed for the Taigu continues to rise, but they know they can't get it now. The output of Uchiha Naraku's Taigu is still too low, and the owner of the Taigu has to be selected. They turned the topic back to the war, and the two of them breathed a sigh of relief after learning that Hiruzen Sarutobi persuaded Kumogakure and Kurigakure to retreat. It was Sarutobi Hiruzen who was planning to send 2 Taigu as gifts, which made the two of them a little worried. At this time, Uchiha Naraku didn't know that his unbaked Taigu had been sold. The summary of the meeting later was that Kaharu and Mito Manabu went to ask the daimyo for money. Shimura Danzo strengthened information collection, and Sarutobi Hiruzen once again arranged Sanin to guard the border and strengthen border protection. Third generation Kazekage brought the injured Chiyo back to Sunagakure. At this time, Chiyo's younger brother Ebizo and his son and daughter-in-law gathered around him. Third generation Kazekage looked at this family and sometimes felt that he was quite lonely. The entire senior management of Sunagakure belonged to this family. Chiyo and others dispersed, and regardless of being injured, he spoke about Danzo's information. The ninja sword of Danzo should be the Taigu mentioned by Hiruzen Sarutobi. Danzo initially used the power of the sword to activate the puppet's strength. No, it's a puppet. I feel more like a corpse. Speaking of this, third generation Kazekage also echoed. Yes, after piercing my iron sand, I found flesh and blood under the black clothes, but the thing inside is definitely not a living person. My iron sand almost crumbled the internal organs of those puppets, but they can still move later. Chiyo continued. There should be shortcomings in using that weapon, according to my observation. Danzo seems to have never used 8 puppets at the same time, indicating that although his puppets do not need chakra lines, they are also consuming something. Perhaps Danzo's body is the most vulnerable when using a large number of puppets. After a few words of discussion, a few people found out some characteristics of the Fang, and then talked about war. But they were all silent. Because Konoha has put down its words, once Konoha faces a concentrated fire, it will attack Sunagakure first until Sunagakure is destroyed. In the end, third generation Kazekage set the tone, which is to continue to wait for the opportunity. He did not believe that other villages in the ninja world would sit back and watch Konoha become stronger. Danzo had a Taigu and his combat power became so strong. If all the strong men in Konoha have Taigu in the future, and there are a few supermodel players like Senju Nawaki, then they don't have to play anymore. Such a simple truth can be seen by others. Yun Ying just wanted to get a Taigu first and then start working on it. As for the 3-year agreement, it is just a piece of waste paper to these ninja villages. No. This time the contract was not even signed, which means it is worse than a piece of waste paper. Onoki tapped his fingers on the table to review the previous events. He thought about it for a moment. It seemed that he got nothing from this 5 Shadows meeting. But at least you don't have to worry about your butt being penetrated by Kumogakure. Because as long as Kumogakure doesn't get the Taigu for a day, he will always worry that Konoha is unwilling to give it. So as long as other ninja villages start a war with Konoha, Konoha was afraid that Kumogakure would give it to him if he entered. But if a whole village of Iwagakure is consumed by Konoha, it will definitely be a loss. But Onoki laughed after thinking for a while. In his opinion, Konoha's promise to give Kumogakure weapons was definitely a poison to quench his thirst. There will be serious consequences no matter whether he gives it or not. So perhaps the most important thing to do now is to wait. Onoki walked out of the office step by step. He planned to train the ninjas in the village this year. By the way, he should train his son Lois well and see if he can find a powerful successor for Iwagakure in the future. Then keep in good health, 30 years in Hidong, and 30 years in Hexi. He believed that as long as he maintained good health and did not squander his body and chakra like those taijutsu ninjas, he would be able to preserve his precious combat power. Somewhere underground in the fog shadow, the black Zetsu at this time has been newly possessed by a new white Zetsu. He reported the news brought back by the third Mizukage to the elderly Uchiha Madara. Oh, Konoha will send Kurikage a Taigu forged by Uchiha Naraku in the future. When the time comes, give me the so-called Taigu. I would like to see what magical power the Taigu has, so that an Uchiha can be busy forging it instead of developing Sharingan. By the way, did Afei get any information? Uchiha Madara asked. Heiju was silent for a while. His silence was not because he was thinking of lying to deceive Madara. Instead, Afei brought a lot of shitty information and other useless information. Finally, Black Zetsu found out a somewhat useful one from Shishin Mountain's information. Uchiha Naraku has been forging and practicing recently. He spent 1/3 time in the Uchiha tribe, 1/3 time going to the forging room for forging, and 1/3 time it is in the land of the Senju tribe. Afei said that he saw Uchiha Naraku and Tsunade hugging and kissing many times. Some time ago, when Tsunade came back, Naraku also showed his filial piety as a disciple. He often accompanied Tsunade and showed his filial piety. When Uchiha heard the news, his head was full of black lines at first. This guy has so much information that he is like Uchiha Madara, who likes 8 trigrams. Until Black Zetsu revealed that the relationship between Naraku and Tsunade was abnormal. Tsunade, Uchiha Madara still knows. She is the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama. Before, Hashirama showed off to Uchiha Madara that he had a lovely granddaughter. After that, she would share Tsunade's changes with Madara from time to time. At that time, she was disgusted by Uchiha Madara, who was alone without a wife and without offspring. When Uchiha heard the news about Tsunade again later, she knew that she had become a powerful medical ninja, and then became Konoha's most ferocious tiger. A smile that could not be concealed appeared on the corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth. Uchiha Madara did not suppress it and directly released Uchiha's spirit of laughing like the leader of the 4 heroes in the underground. Ha ha ha, Hashi hot mom, Senju Hashirama. I didn't expect Uchiha to watch. The girl who fell in love with you, the Senju clan, is still your granddaughter. At this time, Uchiha Madara also thought that if that white-haired Senju could also see this scene, his expression would definitely be wonderful. But Uchiha Madara calmed down and thought of one thing, that is, Senju and Uchiha were mortal enemies in the past. Basically, there will be no couples between the 2 tribes, let alone intermarriage between the direct lineage. And now if Uchiha Naraku and Tsunade combine, will something interesting happen? Maybe most people don't know this secret, but Uchiha Madara remembers clearly how his own Samsara Eye came about. But Uchiha also thought that Senju Hashirama and other Senju tribesmen were almost 2 different creatures, with a chakra comparable to 9 tails, a terrifying recovery ability, and a weirdly powerful wood style. All of them show what is special about Senju Hashirama. So Uchiha Madara feels that there is nothing to worry about, and they can even use their descendants as a flag to the promising project of infinite Tsukuyomi. Unlike the usual situations where he was called to the Hokage office, this time it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who came to see Naraku himself. Naraku looked at the old man with a fake smile in front of him and couldn't help feeling a little speechless. Sarutobi Hiruzen still made a false greeting as usual. Naraku-chan, how are you doing lately? Is there anything you need my help with? Naraku was furious when he heard this. He and Tsunade had been fighting each other before, but seeing that their relationship was about to take a further step, the old man sent Tsunade to the front line with a transfer order. But now he is still counting on using Konoha's resources and manpower to quickly forge the Guardian Machine God Supreme Throne, so it is not suitable to fall out. Naraku could only focus on the project and said, 3rd generation master, you promised to help me solve the sealing techniques matter before. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen remembered that he seemed to have this promise before, but what he thought at the time was to prepare a sealing class to solve the problem. So he told Naraku about this situation. Naraku thought it didn't matter, since he would pack it up and take it with him when he left Konoha. But he felt it was necessary to emphasize. I expect that new biological material to have terrifying strength, which is no less than the combat power of 9 tails, so it must be available at the moment it appears. Seal it as quickly as possible. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Naraku's serious expression, and then he paid more attention to it. People are like this sometimes, they don't necessarily pay attention to things that have been said once or twice. Sarutobi Hiruzen then promised, I will definitely arrange it, but this matter needs to be carefully planned. Naraku, there is something sorry for you in the village. After hearing this, Naraku's heart skipped a beat. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued. In the previous 5 Shadows meeting, several other villages wanted to besiege Konoha together. In order to buy time for the forging of new weapons, I could only promise to give Kumogakure and Kurigakure a Taigu respectively in a year and a half. This village is sorry for you. If you want any compensation, you can tell me. Quote. At first, Naraku was a little angry, thinking that he would just sell me out, but Naraku then thought about it, and in this case, there was no need for him to be secretive to the Taigu of other villages. And he could still ask for some compensation from Sarutobi Hiruzen, but the show still had to be played, and Naraku's expression changed from angry to disappointed to indifferent and finally to understanding. Naraku sometimes thinks that he has come to the ninja world. The thing that has improved the most and fastest is his acting skills. He feels that he can write about actors' self-cultivation whenever he has time. It can only be said that when you come to the big stage of the ninja world, if you don't have the acting skills and adaptability of the top werewolf killer, you may not necessarily have a good life. Finally, he said, "Third generation Sama, I don't really want anything in particular. I am just interested in some powerful ninjutsu. As for giving weapons to other villages, there is one thing I need to remind you, that is, this will increase the combat power of the people in the hostile village. There may be some unpredictable results later." Quote, Sarutobi Hiruzen said innocently, "Naraku-chan, don't you have a way to control the strength of the Taigu?" Naraku explained, "I use whatever is summoned by the blood succession limit. However, the general Taigu is not too outrageous. It will only make strong people stronger. Unless there is a special fit and a special weapon, the one haunted by evil spirits is just one so far." Quote, what Naraku is thinking is, I want to see the ninja world become a river of blood. Anyway, when the time comes, he will go to his Shinigami temple to make dough balls. Maybe one day he will become a god, and the Shinigami temple can also transform into the Hall of Heroes. When the time comes for him to achieve enlightenment alone, the chickens and dogs in the Shinigami temple will be considered as ascending to heaven. After hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a little relieved and comforted Naraku. Little Naraku, later I can make most of the sealing techniques in the village except forbidden techniques open to you as compensation. Hearing this, Naraku could only say, Sarutobi Hiruzen, you are a real dog. How many times can you use a reward? In the future, he will only use prostitution money once, and then he can go there for several days in a row. If the lady knew, she would definitely call the police. Of course, this is just a metaphor. Naraku realizes that he is different from Jiraiya, and he will never go to such a customary place. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that he had finished fooling the child, and suddenly turned to personal matters, and said sadly, Little Naraku, you said that my life is walking on thin ice, can I make it to the other side? Naraku thought about why this old man was so angry and affectionate. If he loves fun so much, he should take care of some ragged young ladies as much as a Cadillac owner. Why are you here? Don't you know chakra? You can walk even if the ice breaks. It seemed that Naraku didn't understand his deep meaning, and he could only speak human words. This means that he feels that Shimura Danzo is rebellious. Last time we went out together, Shimura Danzo even had murderous intentions towards him. Is there any good way to restrict him or strengthen himself? Naraku thought for a while and thought that there seemed to be nothing particularly good about Sarutobi Hiruzen. However, Naraku is still a little greedy for the massive amount of basic escape techniques. Once he gets it, he doesn't have to waste time studying. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen still has the forbidden technique of sealing the corpse, but Naraku will not be able to use this technique even if he dies. Naraku thought about it and thought that the materials he had now could be used to forge ghost catching, stone ghost face, demonic appearance, devil's essence, and inspiring armor. These are either not visible to the light or they are reluctant to give to Sarutobi Hiruzen. After thinking for a while, Naraku decided not to want it anymore. Now it was Hiruzen Sarutobi who was begging him to forge it. Why was he anxious? Although he did want Hiruzen Sarutobi's ninjutsu, he didn't particularly want it. Tell Hiruzen Sarutobi, third generation, I am short of precious biological materials here. As long as you can bring me powerful biological materials, I can build suitable weapons for you. The stronger the materials you provide, the stronger the weapons I forge. As for Shimura Danzo, the 8th room has a weakness, that is, when the owner of the 8th room controls more puppets at the same time or the puppets he controls are too strong, the main body's combat power will be suppressed. Sarutobi Hiruzen's calm eyes revealed a bit of greed for power. After all, he was not the kind of person who wanted nothing. If he really was, he wouldn't be where he is today. It's just that he usually suppresses it very well. Now that Naraku has been given such a good opportunity, He feels that maybe he can break through the bottom line a little bit. After all, it's all for the village. Naraku looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who left gloomily and unceremoniously, and then returned to the forging room. At this time, Naraku didn't know that several other ninja villages were preparing for a temporary truce. He is also going to forge some weapons to strengthen Uchiha. Naraku opened Party A's needs and found that most of Uchiha's needs were quite normal, basically ninja swords. At most, it's just armor, and a fan appears among these relatively normal weapons. Naraku was taken aback at that time, and some wise man came to amuse him. Then I saw it was Uchiha, this old man. Naraku couldn't bear it anymore and went directly to Uchiha's room. Kicked open his door. Uchiha, who was eating fruit, seemed to be frightened by the violent gait of opening. The fruit choked his throat and he coughed for a long time and said, "You are so disrespectful to the elder of the family, so disrespectful to your elders. Even you, Naraku, must be punished. I have an explanation." Naraku suddenly became angry when he heard this explanation. "You want me to explain? Everyone else normally wants ninja swords and armor. You are the only one who wants an Uchiha fan. Do you know what the raw material of Uchiha fan is? Even if it is forged, will you use it?" Uchiha suddenly turned into a cynical little old man after listening to Naraku's words. In fact, Naraku found that sometimes distance really brings about beauty. In the past, when he was not familiar with this old man, he seemed to be full of majesty. As a result, after getting familiar with it, this guy completely let himself go. Uchiha teased, "Can't even the strongest blacksmith in the ninja world forge an Uchiha fan?" Naraku said disdainfully, "Is this possible? But the price is too high, so we have to pay more." Uchiha looked at Naraku, who seemed to have taken the bait, and said, "You know me, my mother told me since I was a child. No, I have always regarded Madara-sama as my idol since I was a child. I have worked hard to rebound Uchiha, and I have always wanted one. Madara-sama's round fan. Can't you satisfy my request? I don't have anything valuable on me right now, otherwise I'll let little Makoto marry you. Besides, I only have 2-3 Magatama Sharingan left at most, why don't you take them and use them?" Quote. After saying that, Uchiha Mew spread his hands like a gangster. In fact, Uchiha Mew felt that the cohesion of the Uchiha clan is getting worse and worse. He hopes that this weapon representing Uchiha can reappear and bring some positive effects to Uchiha. And he really practiced Uchiha rebound. Naraku said sarcastically, "Why do you, an old man like you, interfere with the love between Makoto and me? And your 3 Magatama Sharingan, please leave it on your head for now, and I will come back to get it when I want it one day." What Naraku didn't say is that you, a little old man, like Madara so much. Madara should be staying in a basement now. Why don't you go find him? Uchiha felt a little speechless for a moment. How could he be so dismissive of his grandson-in-law? He was just talking about it, but Naraku actually took it seriously. Later he thought that he might not be a few years old. I can only grit my teeth and agree. Later, Naraku explained that there will be certain differences in the functions and characteristics of the Uchiha fan he forged, so don't be dissatisfied again. Uchiha naturally agreed wholeheartedly. Naraku returned to the forging room again, and then forged ordinary weapons step by step. He first took out the materials required for each weapon, and then separated out 10 wood clone. He found that the wood clone was worthy of being a noble wood-style ninjutsu. It was not only 1 or 2 points better, but at least 3 or 4 points, than the ordinary shadow clone that broke when touched. After that, Naraku himself will be the supervisor and assistant. Since they are all B-level weapons, Naraku's progress is very fast. He arranged different danger types according to the needs of his customers. Because he had let those people choose before, it was just enough. Otherwise, Naraku suspected that 9 of the 10 Uchiha would want fire-style weapons or armor, and the remaining 1 would want thunder attributes. Naraku doesn't have that many dangerous types of fire attributes. Dangerous species. Flying Mantis, dangerous species. Waterdramon, these 2 forged the Water Dragon Sword and Kurichimanji. The dangerous species Fire Scale Beast then forged a fire attribute long sword for the first person to choose the fire attribute. Naraku looked at the name of the requester, and it turned out to be Uchiha Chiengake, the clan leader. Good guy, the Uchiha clan is really full of talents. These high-status people are either doing flower jobs or running small businesses. However, considering that Uchiha Chiangake's combat power should be good, Naraku is not too entangled. Not to mention the dangerous Thunder Beast, forge a long sword with Thunder attribute. The dangerous species, Poison Dragon Beast, comes with a poisonous knife. The dangerous species Ironman forges armor, and the last Earth Dramon prepares a life-saving measure for Uchiha Makoto. Soon, all kinds of ministerial tools were forged one by one. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging B+ level Korichi Manji 2nd generation. Tong Yimanji 2nd generation. B+ level weapon. This knife is bladed on one side, 1.2 meters long, has strong and sharp characteristics, and can smoothly conduct chakra. Skills. 1. Store a certain amount of Thunder attribute chakra and use it to hit the enemy with special cutting, paralyzing and penetrating attributes. 2. Normal Korichimanji bleeds passively. Naraku looked at this 2nd generation weapon, due to the improvement of his forging technology. It directly surpassed the weapon in Orochimaru's hand and became B+ level. The chakra attribute has also changed from requiring the Yang attribute to the Thunder attribute, although the Yang attribute can be acquired through practice even by the Uchiha clan. But the regular attributes can be picked up and used, which also reflects Naraku's people-oriented forging philosophy. This is really the Yangtze River where the back wave pushes the front wave, and the front wave dies on the beach. What? Both the front wave and the back wave are me. That's okay. I can only say that I have become stronger. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging the B+ level Water Dragon Sword. Water Dragon Sword. B+ level weapon. This knife is bladed on one side, 1.21 meters long, has strong and sharp characteristics, and can smoothly conduct chakra. Skills. 1. After activating the Eye of Water Dragon, the combat effectiveness will be strengthened within 3 minutes, but you will be extremely tired after using it. 2. 3 minutes after activating the main body of the sword, the flexibility and speed of movement are greatly improved, and you will be relatively fatigued after use. 3. It has a strengthening effect on chakra of a single attribute. This weapon is said to be the Water Dragon Sword, but it is actually the Water Dragon Sword 2nd generation. Compared with the original version, it can be said that each has its own characteristics, and the proficiency in forging this Naraku is higher, resulting in a sharper and stronger version than the original. However, it lacks the large amount of chakra metal in the Water Dragon Sword, resulting in the chakra conduction ability being inferior to the original version. The others are just slightly different shapes. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging a B+ level Fire attribute Ninja Sword. After thinking for a moment, Naraku thought that there was a sword with similar effect and level in One Piece called the Burning Sword, so he directly named it the Fire Scale Sword. After all, it was forged from the Fire Scale Beast as a biological material. He had a premonition that this sword would become famous along with Uchiha Chigaku. Fire Scale Sword, B+ level weapon. This sword is edged on both sides. The sword is 1.19 meters long. The sword body is wrapped in the scales of the Fire Scale Beast, and the blade is dark red. It has strong, sharp, and burning properties, can conduct chakra smoothly, and has extremely strong heat resistance and thermal conductivity. Skills. 1. Flame absorption. The precious scales on the Fire Scale Beast are used to allow the weapon to absorb fire attribute damage and retain the flame, further increasing the damage of the sword. There is a certain limit to flame absorption. After exceeding the limit, the Fire Lin sword will become extremely fragile. 2. Fire attribute. Infusing the fire attribute chakra into this sword can enhance its attack power and even produce flame trails when wielded. 3. Flame technique. Injecting a certain amount of fire attribute chakra can cause the tip of the sword to release flames. The specific effect is proportional to the amount of chakra. 3. Self-purification. The sword body may have the ability to self-purify, and can eliminate any substances contaminated on it through flames. Naraku slowly picked up the weapon, feeling filled with pride. Regardless of whether this weapon is strong or not, it's really cool. It is very beautiful in itself. Even without the use of chakra, the blade still exudes a fluid dark red luster, and the fire scales on the sword are also very handsome. As Naraku slowly injected the fire attribute chakra, the entire weapon lit up, and the special effects just now were further improved. Naraku waved gently, leaving a trail of flames in the air. For the enemy, this effect is simply like dipping a belt in iodine, disinfecting it while beating it, and the wound will be carbonized as soon as it comes out. In addition, the sword body generally has a temperature close to 50 degrees, so it can also be used to warm babies in winter. If I had to point out one shortcoming, it would be that this sword is too aggressive. It is not as aggressive as a ninja weapon, and it is easy to be focused on the battlefield. Naraku put down the fire scale sword with strong willpower. If he forced it, the sword would just become a collection. And this weapon is just a tool after all, with its own flaws. Naraku decided to give himself a better weapon in the future, and he had to use a fire dragon or something as the raw material. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging a B+ level lightning attribute ninja sword. Naraku named it Lei Xingdao according to convention. Lei Xingdao, B+ level weapon. This knife is bladed on one side. The length of the knife is 1.22 meters. The blade is purple and the blade is dark purple. It has strong, sharp, and paralyzing properties, and has extremely strong lightning conducting chakra ability. Skills. 1. Thunder and lightning reflection. Using thunder beasts as biological raw materials, it can reflect thunder attribute attacks and natural thunder and lightning back to the enemy. The natural rebound of thunder and lightning has a certain limit. When necessary, the sword owner needs to inject a large amount of thunder attribute chakra, otherwise the thunder and lightning on the sword will flow into the earth along the sword owner's body. 2. Attack enhancement. Inject thunder attribute chakra to improve the cutting, paralysis and penetration capabilities of the knife. It can also be injected in large quantities in a short period of time to release a powerful blow. 3. Conductive properties. Conductive weapons that come into contact with this knife will paralyze the enemy. 4. Thunderball technique. Injecting a certain amount of thunder attribute chakra can cause the tip of the knife to release thunder balls to attack the enemy. The specific effect is proportional to the amount of chakra. In fact, Naraku had some special expectations for this weapon, wondering whether the thunder attribute weapon would be stronger, but in the end he did not break through to a level. The overall appearance is not as handsome as the fire scale sword, but it still has a different flavor. As Naraku infused chakra, the blade became much more eye-catching, but because the overall color was purple, it was not as eye-catching as the fire scale sword. Naraku looked at the time and found that it was getting late, so he planned to forge the remaining ones tomorrow. Although he has many clones, he has few equipments, so no matter how awesome he is, he cannot forge all the weapons at the same time. Today, he forged 4 B+ weapons, which is really awesome. As Naraku removes the wood clone one by one, a large amount of information is also impacting Naraku's head. Naraku rubbed his dizzy head. Naraku suddenly felt the urge to urinate, so he went to the toilet. Suddenly, the speed of Naraku's spring-like water suddenly slowed down. This was not because he had to urinate frequently and urgently. But he felt that he really felt something. He felt something every few days during the recent period. In the past, maybe it was because there were fewer times, or there were people with Danzo or Sarutobi Hiruzen nearby. This time he felt that something was definitely not normal because the perceptual illusion that he had to go to the toilet every time occurred particularly frequently. Naraku instantly thought of Baizetsu next to Madara. It was precisely because of this that his peeing speed suddenly dropped sharply. He realizes that he cannot solve the current Uchiha Madara. If this Uchiha Madara wants to make a sneak attack, he will have no choice. So even when he faced this situation, he was a little nervous. But then he thought that he was probably just being monitored now, which meant that Uchiha Madara just noticed him, so there was no need to be too nervous. There should be many white Zetsu like this in the entire ninja world. The above thoughts all appeared in an instant. Naraku controlled the water to continue flowing out, and then performed a series of operations according to his normal habits and returned to the room. Naraku lay on the bed and began to think. After thinking for a while, Naraku realized that he didn't need to care too much about this. If you behave particularly abnormally or if you want to catch and kill Baiju, it will be self-defeating. The only thing he needs to do is hide those things that cannot be revealed, and the rest will be as usual. The only problem was that he felt a little sick when he went to the toilet. At this time, Naraku didn't know that the person who came to monitor him was a Fei, the son of the White Jew headquarters, Shenshu. Afterwards, Naraku was about to give away the 4 forged vassals, but unexpectedly Uchiha Min told him that this was a great opportunity to win people's hearts. It is best to hand over the weapons to the owner of the weapons after they are forged together. When Naraku thought about it, he suddenly felt that he was superficial before. When it came to politics, he had to learn more from these old guys. In fact, the main reason is that Naraku never thought about giving his weapons to the owner of the weapons. What he thought in his heart was that if the owner of the weapons was not worthy of the weapons, he would definitely take them back. Early the next morning, Naraku looked at the grotesque and extremely ugly poison dragon beast in front of him, and knew that he could not treat it like an ordinary weapon. There is no specific plan in his knowledge base to use this dangerous species to create weapons. Naraku can only rely on his higher level to judge how to build it. Soon a specific plan appeared in Naraku's mind. One was to directly use its poison sac and then make it into a thing specially used for poisoning. Or use its fangs to make a ninja sword. This will solve the shortcomings of the fangs not being able to produce poison independently and the poison sacs not being able to be burned at high temperatures. Naraku quickly arranged for his clone to take action. After all, although the poison of this thing is not as good as Murasama's poison, it is still quite outrageous. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging the B+ level poison attribute ninja sword and poison bag. Naraku thought of the 2 big pointed teeth of the poison dragon beast, so he named the knife Poison Fang. Fang. B+ level weapon. This knife is bladed on one side, the length of the knife is 1.15 meters, and the blade of the blade is purple-black. It has strong, sharp, and poisonous properties and can conduct chakra smoothly. Skills. 1. Venom absorption. The fangs of the poison dragon beast have the ability to store venom. The weapons made can store the venom and evenly cover it on the blade. 2. Venom injection. Injecting chakra into the knife can cause the venom in the knife to be injected into the enemy's body at an extremely fast speed. 3. Add poison. You can choose to add poison to water attribute attacks. Debuff. 1. After the venom is consumed violently, it needs to be replenished through the poison sac. 2. The effects of venom are indistinguishable between friend and foe. Poison sac. A tool for replenishing fang venom, which can consume chakra to speed up its poison production. Naraku looked at this ninja sword and immediately discovered the failure point of this ninja sword. This poisonous ninja sword does not distinguish between ourselves and the enemy, and it is a bit useless. But there is no way to weaken this shortcoming, that is to create the antidote in advance. Otherwise, it will become, my knife is full of poison. Or the kind of team fight destroyer that kills more teammates than opponents once a team fight begins. Of course, the enemy can also create antidotes after retaining the samples, but if a large number of antidotes are really made for a knife and kept on hand, this can be considered a breakthrough effect in war. And we can consider updating the poison in the future. Good guy. Naraku thought that people who don't use this kind of weapon will be called Hanzo-chan. This can be regarded as a great achievement. You don't have to worry so much about the last 2. The dangerous species Ironman and the dangerous Earth Dramon are both preparing to forge armors. These 2 things are not poisonous, and Naraku himself can also participate. When Naraku saw the armored beast, he knew that the thing forged by this thing was definitely not suitable for Uchiha. It's not even suitable for ninjutsu type ninjas, it should be more suitable for taijutsu ninjas like Kai and Dai. However, the taijutsu ninjas in Hokage are not the kind who just bear the damage and fight. They use their terrifying physical fitness to avoid the opponent's attacks and then attack the opponent. Therefore, overweight armored beasts will affect their speed, but Naraku thought of another use, which is to use weapons forged by this dangerous species for training. This is a good ability. As for the one who wanted the armor, he could only say sorry. We'll see if we can make compensation later. Besides, he hasn't made a promise before. It was just statistics before. Speaking of this, Naraku has to admire how Uchiha is really tight sometimes. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging B+ level heavy armor. Naraku quirked his lips and named the armor Black Rhino Armor. This is because the armored beast looks a bit like a rhinoceros and happens to be black. In addition, this armor is mainly used for training, and Naraku can also make extensive modifications to the surface of the armor. Finally, this handsome armor appeared in front of Naraku. Black Rhinoceros Armor, B+ level heavy armor. This armor uses the forging skills of Taigu armor so that it can be freely adjusted in size, has toughness and recovery properties, and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. Skills. 1. Heavy pressure. The armor can be made heavier by injecting chakra. The more chakra, the more exaggerated the weight of the armor. 2. Defense enhancement. Chakra can be injected to further improve the armor's defense. The more chakra, the more terrifying the armor's defense is. Naraku couldn't wait to put on the armor. Doesn't that boy want a handsome black rhinoceros armor? After putting on the armor, Naraku moved his elbows and shook his head like what he had seen in the TV series before. I couldn't help but feel that I was really powerful. The armor I created was both handsome and comfortable at the same time. Then came the highlight. Naraku kept injecting chakra into the armor. With the injection of chakra, the armor became heavier and heavier. Naraku took a few steps forward with difficulty, and couldn't help but feel that this function was very good. Anyone who has ever exercised knows that if you want to grow muscles quickly, you still have to lift heavy weights. If the ninja world wants to become stronger and faster, they should also use more weight. Otherwise, they can only rely on increasing quantity to become stronger slowly like Kai and his son. Naraku played for a while and then started to build the last armor. This is made for Makoto. Although Makoto has always said that he wants to help Naraku, Naraku really doesn't want his childhood sweetheart to be in too much danger. Therefore, this armor is mainly used to protect life. Soon the armor was completed under Naraku's hands. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging B+ level armor. Naraku is in trouble when it comes to naming the armor. If it's not for Makoto, then just call it an Earth Dragon armor. But this is for a girl, so you can't give it a random name. After thinking for a while, Naraku decided to call this armor a Guardian. Guardian Armor. B+ level Earth Attribute Armor. This armor uses the forging skills of the Taigu armor so that it can be freely adjusted in size, has toughness and recovery properties, and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. Skills. 1. Hardening. Injecting chakra can further enhance the armor's defense. 2. Earth Element. Injecting chakra allows the armor owner to move freely underground. 3. Earthization. Injecting chakra can make the armor integrate with the earth, making it difficult for enemies to distinguish. Looking at the uneven armor, Naraku could say that he had brought Go to the extreme. Once you encounter danger while wearing this armor, you can escape underground and integrate with the earth. In this case, it would be difficult for the enemy to find and kill the armor owner, at least it would be difficult for most ninjas. The only shortcoming of this armor in Naraku's opinion is that it is not suitable for girls. Because the overall appearance is earthy yellow, but Naraku cannot paint it. Painting it will affect the earthy effect. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.